everybody. Welcome to Omnitrix Radio, your favorite Ben 10 watch-along podcast. I am your host, Riely, joined, of course, by my fellow host, my wonderful co-host, Miss Demigloom.
Hey, my name is Demigloom. My pronouns are she, her, and I really like Ben 10 because I'm super cool.
Dude, we're talking about fucking Ben 10.
I don't know. It feels
this
like
show's so good.
this was just meant to happen.
This had to happen someday. This is inevitable.
Yeah, at some point. We're both pretty big Ben 10 fans, and we only just discovered this mutual love recently, right?
Yeah, and it's weird because I haven't been a Ben 10 fan in a long time. And, like, even the last time I tried to rewatch it, I was like, this is kind of lame, actually. But this time, I'm so excited. I'm in it for the long haul. We're getting to Alien Force. We're getting to fucking Omniverse. We're going on forever. I can talk about Ben 10 until I die. I'm making a declaration here live on the podcast
Maybe
right
Alien
now.
Force. Maybe Alien Force.
No. We're gonna get to Omniverse. We probably won't do the reboot because the reboot's fucking stupid, but we're gonna get to Omniverse. That's my promise. Even if I have to replace Demigloom someday down the road to make that happen.
Replace me with who? Who else is going to do the Ben 10 podcast with you?
Anybody. Also, I haven't been running the OBS backup this whole time, so we better hope this Audacity thing works.
Oh, you're recording in Audacity?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's pray to fucking Christ.
I mean, like, will it be the end of the world if we lose the first 2 minutes? I'll just start OBS now.
Okay. I feel like
we're backed up beyond this point.
I feel like we should just, like, not be super edgy for this podcast. Like, I feel like we could...
I don't think we need to. Like, it's obviously going to come out sometimes because we are who we are, but, like, I don't think it's going to come up in the same way because we have this, like, pure mutual love for this franchise, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we love Death Note, too, but, like, I watched Death Note at a point where I was already tainted. So, like, the love is inherently not pure because it's, like, surrounded by, like, memes and ships and, like, the internet fan base perception of Death Note, like, fucks... The love isn't pure. Do you know what I mean?
The love it's tainted. The
love is tainted, but for something you fall in love with when you're younger and pure, like Ben 10, the love is never tainted. Like, my love of Ben 10 feels exactly the same as how it felt when I was fucking 7.
Right, me too. And there's nothing, like, edgy or, like, ironic about it. It's there
was some pretty witty shit. Like, not to that extent, but there were some very well written jokes in these episodes. Like not to quote the famous philosopher Jenny, but I think there were a couple of adult themes in there.
Let's start off by talking about episode 1, and we can get deeper into it. So episode 1.
Do you have the, like, director?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It was written by Tom Pugsley, directed by Scooter Tidwell.
Directed by who?
Fuck.
Directed by who?
Uh-oh.
What happened?
That wasn't voluntary, let's just say that.
Okay.
We're gonna...
fine, it's a little hiccup. As long as your Audacity's still going, we're fine.
Yo, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Alright, anyways. It was written by Tom Pugsley, directed by Scooter Tidwell, and animated by Sunman Image Pictures. This is episode 1 of Ben 10. It's fuck it, I'm not reading this entire plot description. we'll just talk about it. Like, it opens with, like, a scene of, like, a fight.
Well, what you want to do, Demi, just to give you the advice, because I ran Kira's Kingdom, and you're kind of taking up that. This is basically the replacement for Kira's Kingdom, but now, like, Demi's running the main thing instead of me. What you do is you pull up the Ben 10 wiki article for this episode, like the super detailed synopsis, and you just have it up to reference, like, if you're ever, like, stuck.
Right, that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But it starts out with, like, a battle between two spaceships, right? One of them with Vilgax. Do we know his name is Vilgax yet?
I don't know.
I don't think they mentioned him
once, like at the beginning.
Yeah, the Vilgax declares that he has come too far, and he needs to win this battle.
Too far. got to leave it all behind.
He needs to find
Damn, that was good. Wasn't that good?
It was about a 6 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Vilgax needs to find this thing called the Omnitrix, which is supposedly on board this other spaceship in this fight. And we see it get like dejected and shot onto a planet. That planet being planet Earth. And then immediately it cuts to Ben Tennyson, a 10-year-old's kid in his classroom making a paper airplane and throwing it at his teacher. And then after that it plays the theme song.
That's such a great way to start. It's actually like fucking amazing way to start.
I think it's like pretty like reflective of the show's like tone as a whole. Like we got to see like this crazy epic action shit, and then we see a 10-year-old kid like just fucking around in his day-to-day life. And that's kind of what Ben 10 is. It's a mix of like just this kid who, you know, he's a kid and he wants to have fun, but when you need a superhero, he gets the job done.
Yo,
if you know what I'm saying.
That was sick as fuck.
Dude, that's the Omniverse theme song.
Wait, what?
You don't remember?
No.
The Omniverse theme song. It says he's a kid and he wants to have fun, but when you need a superhero, he gets the job done.
I don't remember. I literally like forget all the theme songs. I remember the original and I remember Alien Force. I don't remember Ultimate Alien. It might have just been the same as Alien Force, but I don't remember. And I don't remember Omniverse.
Can we talk about the original theme song?
Hold on. There's two things I want to bring up first because I will forget. So I took notes and I have like really fucking good notes, but they're not ordered right. So I had to kind of like backtrack through my brain. But like I think I know the two I want to lead with. The first note, this might cause a vicious argument, but hopefully we'll keep it brief at the very least. There's actually two notes I have here that will cause a vicious argument. One of them I'm going to talk about later. This one is, I remember the reason why I have more fond memories of the Alien Force and Ultimate Alien era than the original Ben 10 era. You want to know the one reason?
What?
Because the Tara Strong Ben 10 voice is annoying.
Oh?
Yeah, like I think to me the Yuri Lowenthal voice is Ben 10 because I just don't like the Tara Strong voice.
See, I really, really like the Tara Strong voice as someone who later learned who Tara Strong was, and the fact that she voiced like 30 of my favorite childhood cartoon characters. But like,
well, I mean, Yuri Lowenthal's no slouch either. He's been in a lot of shit.
This is true. I'm not saying that like as points against him.
He was Spider-Man in Spider-Man PS4. He was Sasuke in Naruto. He's done a lot of shit.
But like Tara Strong, I think does a great job portraying Ben as like a, you know, I guess 10-year-old kid who's not very. What's the word to describe Ben? He's immature.
He's immature and he's silly. He's geeky. I think
he's
Glenn
silly.
is right. He's like a geeky kid.
Right. And I think
Hold on. I need the floor for a moment. Okay. So because we're gonna talk about later Ben 10 generations now. This is not a spoiler-free Ben 10 podcast. It's just we're gonna bullshit about Ben 10 and just like the premise that keeps us rigid is watching the episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
so
cool.
talking ahead to Alien Force, it's like Yuri Lowenthal's voice performance as Ben. It feels very much like a really genuine like puberty transition of that character. Like the voice becomes more developed and adult, but the personality really stays the same. Like watching these first two episodes again and reading Ben's personality, I can like envision Alien Force Ben in my head, and it still feels right. Like it feels like a very natural progression of how the character sounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Like it sounds like the little boy voiced by Tara Strong grew up to be the teenager voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. Like it's a perfect transition.
Yeah, and the reason that's kind of the reason why I think it's unfair to compare the two, because it's a clear like progression. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Even I would say that about the franchises in general. Like Ben 10 and Ben 10 Alien Force are just like almost like two different franchises that it's a sequence, you know what I mean? It's a development. Once we get into like Omniverse territory, I can see like the arguments that it's like, okay, it's like a downfall, you know what I mean? But like when it comes to Alien Force and Ultimate Alien, like compared to the original show, I really think it's like a clear just like progression that's not like it's not like it doesn't feel like a reboot even though it is. It just feels
Yeah.
like it feels like a completely different thing. And there's just like no use in comparing them. Omniverse,
But
however, feels
at the
like
same time, it doesn't. Like it feels like one naturally progresses to the other in a way where it's like it could be the same show.
in a way, yeah. In some ways more than others.
Like I think like I obviously don't have a huge grip on Alien Force because I haven't rewatched it in a long time, but at the same time I do have a lot of nostalgia for it, so I remember a lot of shit. And it's like the Yuri Lowenthal's performance is like the main thing I remember as like this feels like the old Ben 10 but better.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just my experience. Everybody's gonna experience like a big franchise like this with so many different iterations in different ways. Like there are kids who have nostalgia for the original. There are kids who have nostalgia for fucking Omniverse. There are gonna be kids who have nostalgia for the reboot, and they're gonna talk about it in like the Ben 10 community and bring it up in discourse. And that's gonna, the internet's getting younger and younger, as bad as that might be. So I feel like those conversations are gonna be had very soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're gonna start hearing more about the merits of like the current iteration of Ben 10.
Right.
Because right now it's kind of just a laughing stock. Like nobody gives it any thought. Like not we assume it's bad, but we haven't watched a single episode. Would you agree with that assessment?
I've actually watched a couple episodes only because I have younger siblings who watched it.
Yeah, that's
But
fair.
I don't know. It's still pretty like insane to me that that is Ben 10 for some people. Um Believe it or not, like I mentioned Ben 10 to my girlfriend one time. I don't remember who brought it up.
Demi, just real quick, I want to pitch this because I will forget it. I
Okay.
need you to bear with me. Um, do you think like in a very like you and him in the same room sense, could we get like a younger sibling of yours like on the show for like a little segment to like talk about his experience with the reboot of Ben 10?
Like, are you talking about my little brother?
Yeah.
Well, he experienced the original show with me when he was very young, so it's not like it's like that. It's not
Oh, is
like
it like
that is
really,
Ben.
really, like really, really young siblings, like toddlers, or
No, it's like my youngest sister mainly.
do you think like she'd be able to like talk to us for like 10 minutes just to like give a perspective of like an
Um,
audience member of the reboot?
no, because we don't share a mother. My father just disowned me, so I don't see
Oh
her anymore.
yeah, yeah, fair enough.
I mean, maybe in the far future, maybe when we're like literally like doing Alien Force shit, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would be epic.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild. Um,
Just that perspective is very interesting. It's it's just you got to go a little young to get it,
yeah.
unfortunately.
uh, believe it or not, my girlfriend, like when I like mentioned Ben 10, like she thought of the reboot, which fucking boggled my mind.
Yo,
Like
can we
that.
talk to her?
I mean, I guess maybe if she wants to, but like she really does not give a fuck
I know
about
she
my
doesn't. She doesn't give a fuck
podcasts.
about a podcast. Like I think she'd do like a 10-minute spot to just like interview her about Ben 10.
I
Like if
guess
you were in the
maybe.
same room, like with a microphone.
Yeah, she could probably do that.
Like I don't even have to be there for it. Like you could just record it with her in the same room, and then we'll splice it in.
Yeah, or she could leave a voicemail.
That too, yeah.
She she also like babysits really little kids though, which is probably why she sees that show in any
Well,
context.
I also want to see like her impression of it. Like even if it's like it's immature and it sucks, and I have no interest in it, I just watch it because I babysit. Like I want that perspective in like some level of detail.
Well, according to her, it quote unquote goes hard. So
Yo,
I don't know.
now I really want to talk to her just because of that specific verbiage.
I
Just
really
because
don't think she has.
she says the Ben 10 reboot goes hard. I need to know more.
I really don't think she's seen enough to have like a nuanced opinion on it. Nor does she
I
have
mean,
the
that doesn't
original
hurt to
material
ask.
to
So send out the text.
whatever, dude. You're pushing the line. You know, I'm like I have like 1 foot in like the degenerate like virgin internet community and 1 foot in like
Your
real
girlfriend is
life.
the separating factor. Once you combine them,
Yeah,
there's no escape.
if I bring her down, like you know what I mean, it just doesn't it's just not compatible. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like
There's
it's kind of like think about it like this. Let me frame it in a new perspective for you. It's like it's not like a she's on the podcast like full degenerate. It's like a man on the street segment. It's like a very
Yes,
brief interview about Ben 10.
perhaps. That's the best you're gonna get right now is perhaps.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Um, the theme song though. We got to talk about the theme song.
Oh, hold on. There was one more thing before the
Oh
theme
my
song.
fucking god! Of course.
No, sorry. We can talk about the theme song first. It's okay.
No, no. Do your bit.
I wanted to talk about the animation because I had a very like I looked at the
Okay.
animation and the very specific thought I had is it's like it's weird and it's janky, but in like a really cool, like seemingly on purpose stylized way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like almost like a shitty faded comic book. Like it just like
There's
has this sort of energy
a lot of
to
the
it.
textures look very. I can only describe them as like rough and like rugged. Like this is
Yeah, like
also
the show, like the animation is weird and rigid in some places, but like it's part of the vibe.
yeah for sure. And this is almost new to me because this is my first time watching the show in like HD. Because when I was a child, I always watched this on like a little CRT TV or just like a really tiny flat screen TV on like
Holy shit, yeah,
DVD.
that does make things a lot clearer. I'm like remembering watching Ben 10 as a kid and it's like a whole different show
Right.
visually. Like fuck. I thought HD wasn't real. Literally, I just proved to my own brain that HD is real, and now I'm having a reality breakdown.
Uh oh. Yeah.
HD was real the whole time. I didn't believe in it, but it was real.
What do you mean by it wasn't real? Just for the viewers, because
Not
I know
like
what you mean.
no, it's like oh, you know what I mean, but the people don't.
Yeah, the people don't.
Um,
They don't know you
sorry, can you get me back on the right track? What was I saying?
about how HD isn't real.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, like, I didn't think it was that discernible of a difference. Like back in the day, like I would be like, yeah, I watched this 480p video, or I watched this 360p video, and it's literally the same experience
Yeah, I
as if
watched it
I
on my
watched it in
LG flip
HD.
phone, bro. I don't see the difference.
HD is a scam, and then
I,
I like watch HD Ben 10, and I'm like, holy shit, this is a whole different fucking ball game just because of this definition upscale. Like that's
yeah,
fucking wacky.
I've definitely developed a new appreciation for the art and visuals of Ben 10. I
I'm
always had
so
this
hyped to watch
appreciation,
it because
but
of the visuals. Like I could mute the audio and just have a great experience still because the visuals are fucking crazy.
yeah, it's
It's
pretty
so
wild.
stylized.
The theme song.
Yes, now we can talk about the theme song.
I don't remember
So it
who's.
started with an alien device. It did what
All
it
right, did what
did.
it did, and it like stuck itself upon his wrist with secrets that it hid.
Now he's
But
got
all
superpowers.
right, all
He's
right,
no
but
ordinary kid.
we're not doing this whole thing.
He's Ben 10.
He is. What are your first thoughts about the theme song?
It sounds like on a first listen, like the first time I listened to it in years, I'm like, this doesn't go as hard as I remember. But then like you wake up the next day and
Oh,
it's in your head. And now there's no escaping it. It's literally like the most catchy song ever. Like it's in my head forever now. There's no escape.
yeah, me too.
It has been fucking iron welded into my brain. So like it sounds kind of weird, like if you're not initiated into it, but then
Right,
you'll start thinking about it, and then it will become the most epic thing you've ever heard.
right. Like the melody is like kind of unpredictable, so when you like first listen to it, it's just kind of like throwing surprises at you, and it's just weird. But once you know what to expect, it's just like this beautiful like composition that evolves as it goes. It like fades in and out of like the energy sort of fades in and out throughout the song, and it's just so hype. Like I'm gonna admit this publicly for the first time. I genuinely just listened to that song, like not even in the context of the show. I have that shit on my playlist. It's just good. I really
It
enjoy it.
goes so hard in such like a mental way. Like I can hear the song and I can hear that the riffs aren't that like rippy, but it still slaps.
Right. It's fairly simple too, like the general like songwriting and the melodies. But I don't know, man. Something about the vocal harmony as well. Um, it's just like it's just the voice of an angel. I don't know how else to describe it.
It's very interesting. and it's very strange, but it works so well.
I feel like if anybody else like sang the song, it just wouldn't go as hard. You know what I mean? Like it has to be that exact voice, and each individual sound has to be the exact one. Like if it was
I
any
mean, I could
different, it would
imagine
be
a cover
different.
being good, but it would have to be by a very particularly styled artist. Like
Right.
it would have to be very similar, and I think there are artists that are capable of making it similar enough yet different to make it new and interesting, which is what I hope they would do for like a reboot. I've never heard the Ben 10 reboot theme song, but I assume it's not that.
I'm pretty sure it's just a completely different song.
All right, so anyway, did you have anything else to say about the theme song, or should we start like working through the plot?
Just that I really want to get the woman who sings the theme song on this podcast. I think she's
You don't think she's
relatively
too
easy
good
to.
for us?
I don't know.
The
Probably.
Ben 10 theme song chick?
She's
Her
not like
her
famous,
song has been heard by millions of people though.
but her name isn't known by millions of people. You know what I'm
But
saying?
like they'll know like the moment she's on the podcast. And that's like a shame because we're so small and insignificant.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. There's a chance. There's a small chance.
Maybe she's pure of heart. Maybe she'll take pity on us.
Yeah, exactly.
She says she sounds like she's pure of heart, but you know, you never meet your heroes, is what they say. So we'll see if it pans out.
Yes.
What? Okay, this is a really weird tangent, but I really want like some sort of answer out of you.
Okay.
What like celebrity do you like have like an image of that they seem nice, even though they're probably an asshole? Because every celebrity
Oh,
is.
I mean, there's obviously Morgan Freeman, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey's a
Fucking
great example because I've heard he's like kind of kind of a dick in real life.
yeah, he could be. It wouldn't surprise me. Who else? A lot of musicians. Uh,
Like
what
Weird
the fuck
Al
is
or
his
something.
name? Weird Al, yeah. Kenny G, Weird
Ninja
Al.
Sex Party.
Ninja Sex Party, no.
Why
What the
not?
fuck? What the fuck is his name? Rivers
Well,
Cuomo
for me,
from
Ninja Sex
Weezer.
Party is an example because I have an affinity for them, very similar to like what you have with some of those artists.
Yeah. Oh, I know one. I know one. Rusty Cage.
Yeah, see, like I
Yeah.
probably like Ninja Sex Party to like the exact level you like Rusty Cage, and vice versa.
I feel like Rusty Cage would be an asshole.
He seems like he'd become chill.
Yeah, like I feel like he's like chill with people that he knows, but like if you're not like in his circle, he just kind of wants you to fuck off. That's the impression that I get from. I can't
This
imagine
is like
he'd.
the most parasocial conversation to ever
Yeah.
happen.
Okay. And
And
we're also talking about niche
we're on a
internet micro
podcast. I like
celebrities.
forgot that was the case for a second.
We're also talking about niche internet micro celebrities to the general Ben 10 community.
I
Doesn't
think again
care.
it's an interesting intellectual conversation, but let's steer it back to Ben 10.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. After the theme song, we what happens? Where the kid is getting bullied, right?
uh-huh. And then the kid is getting bullied and Ben immediately rises to the challenge to attack them, even though he gets his ass kicked immediately, so it really doesn't quite work out.
Yeah, basically Ben like stands up when this kid is getting bullied by two of the school bullies, and they there's an implied sort of physical altercation, but the screen like blacks out and fades into him and the kid getting
He's
hung by their
the
underwear on a tree.
Yeah. He's like Ben is like the chosen one in a because it's like rough. Like he's not perfect, but like there's something in his heart that like even though his personality seems to imply the opposite, he's always like rising up to the challenge, even when it seems improbable and he's probably just gonna get his ass kicked.
Yeah, certainly.
Like
He's definitely
he has the bravery and the integrity and the resourcefulness of like a good hero, even though maybe the personality is a little shaky, but like that's what develops along the way.
right. And I don't think he's entirely aware of but I think it's a good starting point for a developing hero, I think. Somebody who has ambition and a pure heart but is a little rough around the edges and is not yet like competent in what it is that they want to. Anyways, he gets hung by his underwear on this tree, and then we see the RV. An RV pulls up, and it's Ben Tennyson's grandpa Max, who comes to pick him up, and basically the viewer is where it is explains to the viewer that he was going to go on a traveling sort of trip, a sort of like summer-long road trip in the RV with his grandfather. And when he gets in the car, he realizes that his cousin Gwendolyn is there, and Gwen is there, and he's like, "Oh my God, what's she doing here?" And they have this altercation, and
that the British dub of Ben 10.
Gwendolyn.
Oh, bother! My cousin Gwendolyn is here.
Thy cousin Gwendolyn, grandfather. Yeah, if he yeah, Gwen basically is immediately like characterized as kind of an uptight, how would you describe Gwen's personality?
She's like uptight and like
she's very stuck
aggressive
up.
And like stuck up. That's perfect actually. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Very stuck up.
And she's like, "Ew, do you think I want to be on vacation with you, you freaking dweeb?" And it's like they obviously hate each other. Like,
but later we'll talk about something later where I don't think it's that simple.
No, it's 100% not that simple, but that's sort of the characterization we're sold at the beginning.
But we'll talk about that in a bit. Let's progress through the plot a little bit more.
All right, so they eventually like end up at a campsite, right? Like, did anything else happen between then and now?
Yeah, they just like monologue about how they hate each other. And Grandpa Max is like, "No, it's gonna be great," and then that's when we get to the campsite.
Yeah, and they're at the campsite. They're sitting at a picnic table, and Grandpa Max sets a bowl of mealworms, live, squiggling, squirming mealworms onto this picnic table, and he's like, "This is what we're eating. This is dinner," and then they're like, "Ew, that's gross," and he's like, "Well, I got some sheep's tongue in the fridge. Which
sounds more appealing. If I had to make the choice between the two, I would probably ask him to bring out the tongues."
Honestly, comment question of the day is
sheep's tongue or marinated mealworms.
Live marinated mealworms.
Should we do? Because I like come up with a straw poll on every episode of Pokemon Variety Hour, so I think I could do that for this show too.
That would be pretty cool. Go vote in the description and leave a comment.
Go vote in the straw poll.
Straw poll link in the description, and leave a comment why, and we'll read it on the show.
Hopefully, like, you'll hear this when you're editing and you'll remind me, so I actually make good on it.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, and then essentially Grandpa Max steps away for a moment, and then Ben is like, what did he say? He's like, "I got a candy bar and a half-eaten bag of corn chips in my backpack."
Oh yeah, they were rationing out the snacks.
Yeah, they were like, "All right, what do we have that's actually edible?
How can we survive the entire summer on this little backpack full of snacks?"
Yeah, and then what happens next? I almost said Riely. They're just chilling at the campsite,
and then my OC shows up.
Yeah,
and
my OC
the Ben
shows
10
up.
Fanfiction podcast.
Yo. Essentially, like, they're chilling at the campsite for a while, and eventually Ben decides he's gonna go, quote unquote, go for a walk. Him and Gwen are not getting along. They're just kind of just throwing playful insults at each other, expressing their discontent with those circumstances of being together for so long. And Ben's like, "I'm gonna go take a walk." Okay.
So when you said that thing about like the Ben and Gwen's ship when we talked about Ben 10 2 months ago, was that like entirely a joke, or was there some truth to it?
It was mostly a joke.
Because I feel some, like, I think about you saying that, and I watch these two episodes, and I'm like, he's kind of right a little bit.
Like, if
I was shown out of context certain scenes, I would probably assume a romantic relationship.
There is like a little bit of chemistry. Like there's it's a lot of the tropes of, like,
it seems like the trope of like an anime couple.
It's the trope of like rivals to lovers. You know what I mean? And there's like a lot of
Yes.
things that sort of imply that sort of energy, but obviously they're cousins, and this isn't Alabama, so
Yeah.
it's not happening.
Remember when we said we weren't going to get edgy on this show?
Yeah,
But no, this is a good conversation. I like it.
yeah. Incest. Cool, awesome.
Incest is wincest.
All right. Moving on. Ben goes for
I
a
was
walk.
making that joke back in 2017. That's tame as hell on current internet.
Yeah, it is. But moving on. He sees like, what does he witness? He witnesses what looks like a shooting star.
Yeah, he sees like a meteor crash or something, and he goes to
Yeah.
investigate, and it's a fucking weird watch.
Yeah, there's like a pod. It's like this weird like space pod that like opens up, and then there's like this watch with this little like hourglass symbol on it that lights up, and it just like, it stuck itself upon his wrist involuntarily. It
There's
just like
some secrets that it hid.
it just like jumps onto his wrist, and he like freaks out, and he's like, "Ah, get it off!" And he like tries to get it out with a stick, and eventually he gives up, and he takes a look at it, and he pushes a few buttons, and accidentally turns himself into a fire monster. And he is like, "Oh my god, I'm on fire!" And then eventually he's like, "Whoa, I'm on fire, and I'm not hurting. That's cool." And then like a
Yo.
fucking dumbass, he just starts like shooting fire all over the place and starts a huge forest fire.
Yo, Demi, real quick. Heat Blast looks so fucking sick. Like, it might be the HD, it might be the weed, I don't know. But Heat Blast looks fucking sick.
Yeah, no, he's very well designed. He's pretty fucking badass. Like the flames, like his entire body has like this moving flame texture within him. You know what I mean?
It's so awesome. It looks so awesome. Like, more so than the rest of the show, that I had to like pause to write it down in my notes. Cause like I had to remember how amazing Heat Blast looked.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. He he ends up starting a forest fire, and then it shows us, back at the campsite. It shows Grandpa Max and Gwen. They're like, "Oh, some darn camper out there messing with something he shouldn't," because they see a huge thing of smoke, and they're like, they both like look at each other in unison, say "Ben," because they know that Ben is kind of
Yeah, I
a little
wrote
bit
that quote around
clumsy.
a quote down too. That was a really witty joke that like Grandpa Max is like making a completely separate logic leap where it's like, yeah, probably just some camper out there messing with something he shouldn't, really irresponsible, and then like the reality immediately hits him like, Ben.
Yes, unfortunately, Ben.
Unfortunately, Ben.
Yeah, and then essentially Ben and Grandpa Max grab some fire extinguishers and run towards the smoke to see if everything's okay. And they come across Heat Blast, who they are completely unaware is actually Ben. Or Gwen comes across Heat Blast, completely
And then
unaware
Gwen
that
like gets
he's
into
Ben.
a fight scene with Heat Blast, like with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, she starts like smacking the shit out of him. And we get some nice like anime / comic book action shots.
Yeah, those shots are pretty lit. And then like Ben, the thing that was like funny to me, like the funny like character dynamic thing, where all that had to happen, this like crazy alien, Gwen doesn't even think aliens are real at this point. She sees this crazy like fire guy, and all he has to do is call her a freak, and she immediately knows that it's Ben.
Yeah, she holds up the fire extinguisher, and she's like, "I'm warning you," like she's threatening to shoot him with the fire extinguisher. And he says,
"Don't even think about it, freak." And then
"Don't even think about it, freak." And she says, "Ben?"
Like, that's fucking crazy.
That's pretty wild. No, that's some real chemistry. If I
imagine you seem like some crazy like creature, like so amazing you've never seen before, couldn't be real, and then it spoke to you vaguely like a family member spoke to you, and you were like, "Mom," like.
Well, keep in mind that they're looking for Ben too in this forest fire.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but like either way, it's still pretty wild that that's the sort of like relationship they have, where their like bickering is immediately recognizable and distinguished
even beyond
like that.
species line.
beyond species lines. Yes.
Beyond like race lines, like alien race lines.
Yeah. And eventually, Grandpa Max shows up, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm this fire guy!" And then they, how did they put out the fire?
They shot more fire at the fire,
Yeah.
and then made the fire stop.
They fought
Is
fire
that
with fire.
scientifically viable? Is that real?
Yeah, that is something that occurs. I think it's a little bit more complicated
than how they present
just,
it. Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more complicated than just put fire on the fire, bro. We just need more
Make
fire.
a second bigger fire, and that will eat the smaller fire.
Yeah, if your fire is if your house is on fire, just start a bigger fire. Start the neighbor's house on fire if their house is bigger.
You know what? I think that's okay. I think that's acceptable.
Arguably. Yeah, they fight the fire, and eventually they go back to the campsite, and Ben is like horrified. He's like, "I don't want to be this fire guy forever." And then Gwen is like, "Yeah, what kind of, I don't know." Somebody implies that he's some sort of monster, right, with their speech. And Grandpa Max is immediately like, "He's not a monster. He's an alien."
And then he immediately has to cover his ass because he can't reveal his spooky secret yet.
Yeah, and then like everyone like looks at him like, huh, like you know, sort of confused by his like total confidence, and he's like, I mean, look at him. What else could he be?
I have a brief side conversation I want to have about like later Ben 10.
Okay.
So is there a point? I feel like there is, because I feel like I remember it, but I feel like it might have happened earlier than I remember it happening. When, if at any point, does Ben officially become a plumber? Is it Alien Force, or is it earlier than that?
It's definitely not in the original Ben 10 series, because the plumbers don't get back together. Like the plumbers in the original Ben 10 are like canonically like a group that used to exist.
Yeah, I think the plumbers come back together and Ben becomes a real plumber in Alien Force.
Yes,
I was
to
thinking
my
I might
memory,
just like
that's what
falsely
happens.
remember the original series and like maybe he was the plumber the whole time. But yes, I do feel like it was Alien.
Grandpa Max, I believe, refers to him as a quote unquote great plumber, as in more of like a passing the torch, like superficial kind of way. Yeah. But he's never like the
like
plumbers
he gets
an
a plumber badge
organization.
and goes on plumber missions, I'm pretty sure, in Alien Force.
Yes, I'm almost certain that happens. But this episode, eventually, as we all know, the Omnitrix times out, and Ben turns back into his normal self. And there's this sort of sense of relief. He's like, "Oh, yay, I'm not the fire guy anymore. This is so cool." And then
I was the fire guy, and now I'm not the fire guy.
I was the fire guy, and I'm not the fire guy anymore. I don't remember what happens next. Riely, what happens next?
Shit, no, you're supposed to remember what happens next. I told you my notes are out of order.
Okay, well, essentially, Grandpa Max
Okay,
is like,
so Heat Blast does the thing. He puts out the fire. They leave the scene. And then later... Oh, it cuts back to Vilgax for a minute.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Vilgax, like, talks to one of his henchmen about, like, what do you mean the Omnitrix wasn't on the ship? And then it's like, oh, they shot it down to the planet.
You got that tone, like, perfectly. What do you mean the Omnitrix wasn't on the ship?
Yeah, so that's we get a little bit of flash of, like, the true origin before we go back down to Earth. And when we're back down to Earth, it's, I don't know if I'm missing something, but I feel like the next thing is, like, Grandpa Max says, like, hey, don't fuck with that watch. And then Ben immediately starts fucking with the watch.
Yeah, he turns into a wild mutt.
He turns into wild mutt.
Like the orange dog with no eyeballs.
The fucking wild mutt senses? That was a fucking base sequence. Like when he fucking thermal visions Gwen about to hit him with the stick.
Yeah.
Like that was a fucking awesome sequence.
That was pretty badass. I think it was I think Wild Mutt was a good choice because they're showing like the, you know, diversity of creatures that Ben is able to transform into. And he goes from this like badass fire guy that's like, you know, very straightforward to this weird like creature that sort of doesn't make sense at first. But
what else does he become in this episode? He becomes Heat Blast. He becomes Wild Mutt, I think
Diamond
there's
Head.
one more. Diamond Head, yes, he becomes Diamond Head at the end. I was
Yeah.
thinking that might be episode 2, but yeah, he becomes Diamond Head at the end.
Yes. Yeah,
There was
and
a point
eventually,
like near the end of episode 1 where like I stopped taking notes, but then I got back on it for episode 2, so it's like I'm missing chunks of episode 1 in my head.
me too. I don't recall exactly what happens after this, but it somehow segues into the Omnitrix timing out once again, Ben being back to his normal self, and Grandpa Max and everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so he swings through the jungle as Wild Mutt, and then I remember Gwen saying that like really funny line, like that super long, like, "I'm gonna tell Grandpa that you turned into a giant freaky alien and started swinging through the jungle when he told you not to."
Yeah.
That was pretty good. And then Ben starts swinging through the jungle, but like there's Vilgax drones that attack him, and then he like
Oh
fucks
yeah,
him
that's
up
right.
as Wild Mutt, and then he times out, and then
Yes.
they're coming after him as Ben, and then the Gwen saves him, and like she like is like, no stupid robot's gonna hurt my cousin. That was like when I felt like the more complicated like real family love that Ben and Gwen do share, and like we do get
Doesn't
windows into.
doesn't she say
It's
something along the lines of like, if anyone's gonna hurt my cousin, it's gonna be me?
She doesn't. That's what I thought she was gonna say, but no, she's straight up like, no stupid robot's gonna hurt my cousin.
Oh damn.
It's like, yeah, it's like a real feeling. It's like a real genuine like moment of love between these family members.
Right.
And yeah, like I was mostly joking about the romantic thing too. Like maybe it's just like because I'm not used to this much subtle feeling in a cartoon that I consider it that way. But when I think about it more analytically, it's definitely like it's just a very genuine like cousin relationship.
Right. Of course. So yeah, afterward, it sort of transitions into them seeing on the TV that there's this giant freaking robot that's like attacking the very like state park or like forest that they're at.
Yeah, and isn't that when Ben
Campsite or
like
whatever.
accepts like the call to hero? Like it's that moment where Ben's like, "We have to go help," and then Gwen's like, "What the fuck can you do?" And then he looks down at the Omnitrix and he's like, "I know what I'm gonna fucking do."
Yeah.
Like this is that moment. Like this is when Ben like becomes like the hero that he is. Is like
Oh
in that
no.
moment where he
Oh no,
goes,
step bro, I'm stuck up in the washing machine. What are you gonna
Shut the
do?
fuck up. But it's like, yeah, that's the moment where Ben becomes a hero. It's like he looks down his Omnitrix and he knows he's gonna get in there. He's gonna run into conflict willingly, and he's gonna fuck shit up.
Right. And am I the only one who thinks that like Grandpa Max is just a little bit too like into the idea of like, yeah, I'm gonna let my grandson go fight this giant deadly robot with like guns and cannons and shit?
Yeah, because he misses his old glory days of being a plumber. And
Right,
now
but
he's
like, don't you
getting a
think
taste of that again.
like
And
Grandpa is
Ben
like,
likes it. It's not like he's manipulating him into doing it. Like Ben genuinely wants to help people with
of
the
course,
watch.
of course, and I think it's overall it's a good thing, but I just question like his lack of reluctance to just let Ben get into these like epic fucking alien battles
Like it's like
right away.
I plan to make a lot more comparisons with this particular franchise and a couple of others. Like I like watching shows and like comparing them to like other shows you wouldn't really like pair next to them.
Yeah.
And this really reminds me
Dragon Ball.
shit. No, there's another thing I want to talk about Dragon Ball in just a minute. But there's another thing that this particular, can you like try to remind me of the scene I was just discussing, and then maybe it'll come back to me.
The scene where he like decides like this is when I'm gonna be a hero. Like he immediately senses this like ethical obligation to do
Oh
something
no,
about it.
you were talking about the relationship with Grandpa Max. I feel like that's kind
Oh.
of like similar. Like what you're describing would be like hypothetically like if Aunt May found out that Peter was Spider-Man. Like it would be like this like reluctance to cooperate, but yet like the
Yeah.
acceptance that they have to. Like it seems like that's how like a rational guardian would act. But Grandpa Max is kind of like actually into the idea and like doesn't even seem like that worried about like the potential of Ben getting hurt.
Right. I just think it's not that it's like a bad thing for the show. It just feels a little bit unrealistic. Like I feel like a grandparent or a guardian would be like much more protective and reluctant. But at the same time, it's like a really quick, a quick like knee jerk decision you have to make when you see like people, essentially being murdered. You know what I mean? Like this robot is fucking shit up, and it's because of Ben, because they're looking for the watch.
Yeah, okay,
So
this is another
he's
thing. So there's something I want to discuss here, and then there's another thing. I think we're gonna have a long conversation about the second thing, but the
this is
first
gonna be a
thing,
long podcast. This is gonna be like a
yeah,
2 hour
it's
podcast.
gonna be a
Fuck it.
2 hour podcast, but I'm fucking ready for it. This is
Me
gonna be
too.
based. But oh yeah, yeah. So I made the comparison in my head. Like I don't know. I'm remembering Ben 10 in very vague terms, besides these first two episodes, but it feels like Ben 10 is a very similar like hero to Spider-Man in that like half of his conflicts are secondhand caused by him.
Yeah.
Like he creates a lot of the enemies he fights.
Right.
Like obviously Kevin 11 is the prime example, and like Ghost Freak. Like those are like villains that Ben kind of creates in a roundabout way, similar to how
Yeah.
like villains have their origin in Marvel because like they got pissed at Spider-Man and did something drastic.
Yes. Or kind of like how George Bush created Al Qaeda and they did 9
Wow.
11.
Wow. Remember when we weren't going to be edgy on this podcast?
Yeah. Disavow. I don't actually think George Bush created Al Qaeda.
Whatever. Like, we have our niche audience at this point. I think we'll still attract, like, some Ben Teners. It's just, like, we'll weed the normies out.
Right. I mean, fuck the normies.
Like, we don't need this show to be, like, famous. We just want, like, a close-knit group of... We want a community of Ben 10 fans to interact with.
I want, like, 60 genuine views per episode.
Yes.
That's what I want. That's my goal.
Yes. That is 100% the vibe.
Because I want it to be like really like tightly knit, you know. I want this like the sense of community to be there. I want to be able to read every single comment. But I also
like it's
I
like
also
to make the comparison, you don't understand this, but maybe like an audience member of mine will, and I just want to say it for saying its sake. It's very similar to like how Blastburn Radio was for me all those years ago, where it was like a very like close knit community. Like everybody knew each other. We all directly talked to even like the people highest in the creative totem pole. Like no matter how popular the show got, even at its peak, it's like there's always like this direct level of communication with this really tight knit community. Like
right.
that's the dream.
I don't ever want to be like so big that like I'm like unreachable to
Like
somebody.
I don't want to be PewDiePie. I want to be like Monkey Jones.
I think Monkey
where
Jones
it's like
is a
I make
perfect
like
example.
$1,000 a month on Patreon, like enough to live and make content, and I just do that.
Right. I think the Monkey Jones is like a perfect example because like yes, he has like, you know, like hundreds of thousands of consistent viewers, you know what I mean? And those people are kind of a number, but it's like it's not like everybody who watches Monkey Jones knows each other, but anybody who gives enough of a shit to want to be a part of the community knows each other.
Yeah, it's like
you know
people
what I mean?
who are invested enough in Monkey to like pursue like everything he's done and like
Right.
support him monetarily. Like that's the close knit community. Like we all know each other. Like we all know like Random Candor and Toot and Heartsea
Yeah.
and like all of these characters.
And Monkey Jones is very well aware of our existence as well. It's like
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
I
just-
talked to him pretty directly in the Discord server today. Like
what did you say?
Like it was just like a conversation that came up. Like it was literally me and Redox were talking about the PCP, and then like Monkey made a joke about it, and then like I asked him like a question about like what, because there's an anime review where the joke is it's just Ben doing a Monkey Jones impression,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked him which one that was, and he was like, it was this one, I think it was Gurren Lagann, I think he said.
Oh, cool.
Maybe I'm just being like parasocial, but like it felt like the most direct I've talked to him.
Yeah, you just felt the connection, the electricity.
Not in that weird of a way.
It was at that moment that I knew was aware of my existence.
I think
From
we
that
should. Is
moment
it Kino
forward.
Death Note? The 3 people reacted with an upvote emoji when I said that in the Patreon question channel.
All right, but we're moving away from the topic.
Okay, yeah, let's get back to it.
Ben 10's like, it's hero time, and then he turns into Diamond Head, the diamond guy that shoots. I don't know. He's made out of diamonds, and he can like shape
He's got a
shift
diamond.
into
He
diamond
can like
things.
shift into diamond like weapons.
Diamond Head is like kind of like the
imagine
laziest like
for another a different franchise comparison for people who watch Full Metal Alchemist. like Ed's arm, like how he turns it into like various like weapons. It's like that, but his entire body.
I think honestly, like Diamond Head is kind of like a stupid idea and like
It's a
really
stupid idea
lazy.
on paper, but like it's epic in execution.
Yeah, they I don't know, they somehow made it work. Like they made him look really cool. They made him. I just feel like he has like nothing that really separates him from like the other strong aliens. You know what I mean? Like what really separates Diamond Head from Forearms, other than the fact that he has projectiles?
Well, forearms is really strong because he has four arms, and four is more than two, so that means he's strong.
Yes, and Diamond, but Diamond Head's arms are literally made out of steel. I feel like they kind of even out, or
Fair
diamonds,
enough.
or whatever, whatever
You
space
might be right.
material.
He just likes forearms more. Like at that point, it's kind of just an aesthetic decision
Right, right.
because they serve such similar functions.
Yeah, and I'm glad he exists too. It's just like I have yet to really see a lot of situations
I've yet
where
to see a
Diamond Head
convincing
is
immoral
like,
argument for
yeah, yeah,
forearms
yeah,
over
yeah.
Diamond Head.
What I'm saying is I don't know why Diamond Head needs to exist, but like I don't. I just think he's a little bit pointless. Later on in the show, he gets a little bit more like cool with like the like sliding around and shit. Like he sort of like creates like a diamond like path.
And then they kind of do what they should have done with Diamond Head with like that weird like crystal guy and alien forest.
Chromostone.
Chromastone. Yes, Chromastone is what Diamond Head should have been.
Yeah, but Diamond Head looks way cooler than Chromostone.
Yes, Diamond Head looks cooler. He has the cooler design, but in terms of like execution, Chromastone is like everything Diamond Head should have been.
Right. Yeah,
Like
I
it
agree.
has a lot more focus on like the crystal origin, and like it feels like more mystical, and like that can still be applied to the more epic Diamond Head design for like the perfect Ben 10 alien.
Yeah.
Like when they get the fusion Omnitrix and Omniverse, you gotta fuse Diamond Head and Chromastone, and you get the perfect alien. Is his name really Chromastone?
Yes, Chromostone. That's a pretty bad name.
It sounds weird. It sounds too similar to chromosome for my liking.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of the point.
But like, why is that the point?
I don't know.
I guess
I'm
because
looking
like
at a
your
picture of.
brain has chromosomes, and it's like he messes with your brain with his brain laser.
Yeah. I don't know. It's some Ben 10 aliens are just better off left unexplained. Sometimes it's best if you just don't think too deep about it.
Like Goop. Remember Goop?
Goop, yeah.
I didn't. You Goop pilled me, bro. Like I
Goop
I'd
pill.
forgotten about Goop, and then you like were like, yeah, look it up. It's Goop. Like I thought you meant Echo Echo, and you were like, no, it's a real alien. Look up Goop, and then I looked up Goop, and he was real.
I
And it
made your
was like,
mom
holy
goop last
shit,
night, if
I
you know what I'm
remember
saying.
that guy.
Yeah, yeah. He was kind of kind of a pointless alien.
It unlocked a fucking like it activated an almond that had been dormant for a very long time.
Yes. All right. Back to the episode. What happens? Diamond Head beats the shit out of the robot, right? And he saves the day. And then like
Oh, this is I remember the conversation I wanted to have. This is gonna be, you're gonna like shit on me hard for this, but I just wanted to say, I saw this Diamond Head fight scene and I got like a little mad for like a very specific, very nitpicky reason that's very subjective and you will not agree with at all.
okay.
I think literally every action cartoon should have a fight pacing exactly like Dragon Ball Z.
And what's Dragon Ball Z's fight pacing like?
It's very quick and concise, and it keeps you engaged. And like it's this weird thing where like cartoons, like American cartoons, they feel very weighty, like with their movements, and they feel kind of almost clunky in a way. But Dragon Ball Z is like so fluid, and like things just move in a way that like keep you engaged in an action scene a lot more. Like there's a reason Dragon Ball Z has the reputation it has. Like you watch a Dragon Ball Z fight scene and it's like you can't look away because it's just like, holy shit, he's punching that guy and then that guy teleports and it's like he's over there. It's fucking crazy. I think that is the right way to do action in like literally every circumstance. And like they do that very sometimes in Ben 10, but most of the times it still feels clunky and American.
All right, everybody, stay tuned in 2028 for a Dragon Ball Radio, Dragon Ball Initiation podcast,
Yeah.
and we'll return to this conversation. once I have a better point of reference. But yeah, this fight scene kind of sucked. It was a little bit long. It was a little
I liked it. I liked a lot of things about
Riely.
it, but I just think every fight should be like a Dragon Ball
More
Z
of what?
fight because I'm a very specific type of nerd.
Yeah.
And I think Alien Force might have had more of that too. More of the like Dragon Ball Z-esque, like fast-paced fights. Like it's hard to compare like very artful,
Right,
like
for sure.
classic
think,
anime to more modern Western cartoons in a meaningful
I think
way.
it has. I think it's
But,
probably.
like I feel like the pacing is
that
something
probably
that
has a
should
lot to
be
do with
aimed
why
for.
like action cartoons in America kind of just died.
And I think Alien Force is more
No,
competent
because
in
like
that.
it's just like the fighting. It's just like it's just different. You know what I mean? Like you explained. Very it's not fast paced. It doesn't feel.
Because anime is so good.
Yeah.
And anime became like more appealing to people because it's so like fast paced and like keeps your eyes glued to the screen
Yeah.
in a way that like
I think
a lot of shows like Ben 10, because it's like what they think is cool is
I
like
have to argue
fighting
that
giant things,
Ben
and when you
10
fight a giant
offers
thing, it just kind of
much
like
better
you run
action
around and then you
in the
like
series
climb
than
up
this.
and then you hit him. that describes a lot of Ben 10 fight. No, for sure, for sure. I know there's a lot of things I'm
Yeah,
not remembering about
for
the
sure.
original Ben 10, and I do have a clear memory of Alien Force scratching this itch. So I feel like classic Ben 10 probably does too in a very similar way. I just don't remember it as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we can get this show out consistently. I think me not being at school.
What I'm saying in essence is I'm very excited for
We'll see about that.
2024 when we finally start talking
It'll be
about
like
Alien Force.
you know, like once a week, kind of like the MoCast is once a week. You know what I mean?
We're doing it once a week.
All right.
Nah. It'll be once a week for
If you say
real.
so.
We're gonna stay on this grind set.
I don't
Demi,
personally.
I think we can make this work.
I have confidence in the
I think
quality
we
of
can
this
build
product.
a
I
real community
have
out of this
no
show.
confidence in the marketability of this product.
Like it
I
might
don't
be.
think
I think it's gonna be a
listen
smash
to the
hit.
Ben 10 Watch Along podcast.
I have a lot of confidence in this
Watch Along
product.
podcasts just aren't like really marketable, to an extent. Yeah. Right.
I feel like they are like the most marketable. I would argue, because it's like it's such an easily relatable premise, or like a show like Issue Crew, where it's like we talk about a nebulous topic. It's like you might have no point of reference or relation for that topic.
That's true.
But when you're
I just
talking
think,
about a specific piece of media that you
I don't think the
specifically
Ben 10
watched
like
right
I think
before
the reason the
show,
Brony
it
Initiation
becomes very
podcast
easy for
did fairly
conversation
well
to just be created
was
based
because
off of the art and different perspectives.
well,
on
A,
it.
4chan has an MLP board. B, it's just like I feel like the Brony community is there's a more demand for like
Because
My Little Pony
4chan has an
related
MLP
content
board.
than there is Ben 10.
I feel like you could like, in the same way that I marketed the Breaking Bad video, obviously not to the same success, but like the same general premise where like you post it like anywhere relevant.
Posting
like
posting the
Ben
Brony
10.
Initiation podcast on
Like, isn't there
4chan
like a
really
TV
just
board on 4chan
we got the
where
we
they
got
talk
the
about,
best
like,
people.
TV shows and cartoons and shit? Like, put it there.
It's also why we got
Put it like anywhere where you think it might generate clicks. Yeah, that's why we got the
if
views.
you bully us
That's
and
why
like
we got the
call us
numbers.
slurs in the comment section, you know
We
we're
can
gonna read it
weed
on the
out
show
the
anyways,
bad
so
people by
we
ignoring
encourage
them.
you.
We won't.
We
because
encourage
love
you to
free
harass
speech.
us.
So like hypothetically, that is an option.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like
I think I mean,
we're
right,
either
are you
gonna read it
comfortable
on
if
the
I say
show,
like
or me and Demi are gonna have a very long
we
argument
are
that ends in me
willing
going,
to accept harassment
okay,
on this
I
show?
won't say it.
Like we like the Brony Initiation podcast? Yeah. On the Pony podcast, we got brutally harassed, but it was funny. It was good content.
We're
I feel
always
like
willing to
by
accept
saying this, by
harassment.
inviting it, it's just gonna like people are just gonna be like, oh well, now I'm not gonna do it. Now nobody's gonna want to bully us because they know we want to be bullied.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, but bullies are stupid though. Bullies are stupid.
It's
They'll
gonna
bully for the
downwards
sake of
spiral.
bullying. They don't give a shit. They'll be like, I know you want me to bully you, and that's
Damn
exactly
it,
what
we've
you
lost
want.
all
but
of our good
I'm
bullies.
still gonna do it
They
anyways.
thrown in
and
the
expect
towel
a different
from
outcome.
moment one.
Right, like Dark Sappo.
Because they become a beloved character that way.
Exactly, yeah. Dark.
Like when you're on a show that
need I
invites
say
bullying
more?
and
Is
somebody
there any
bullies
better
in a funny
example
way,
than
they
Dark
become
Sappo
like a
within our circle?
memorable character. Yes, exactly.
Oh, I see.
in a different way. Samurai
Anyways, back to the
Sama from
episode,
the PCP
which we haven't talked about in a long time.
Very recognizable.
Yeah, he beats the robot, and then Grandpa Max is like, "Way to go, diamond-headed guy." And then like all the people, like nobody's like really like appreciative or like even shocked that this occurred. They're just like, "Who was that guy?" Huh. It's kind of weird. There was like there was like an epic like alien fight with like huge explosions and just nobody was like phased at all, which made no sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like this situation would be a lot more horrifying if it was
it doesn't
real.
That's their reactions.
Like when you apply the logic and you like run it through like real life, like,
but yeah, I think that was
complicated logic.
I mean, after that they go back to the RV,
you know
and like Grandpa Max essentially is like, "Oh yeah, you got to learn how to use this Omnitrix fast." And I think we do get the little scene of Accelerate at the end, which gives us closure to the intro. Yeah, and then he runs all the way back to his school. Yeah, which is kind of weird. It's like were the bullies just at the school the whole time?
He's like, "Look at how fast I can go."
Do they just never leave? Do they just chill there all day? Or did he just...
Yeah, and he hangs the bullies on the tree.
Well, he somehow found them, and he hung them from a tree just the way that... I think it was
actually distinctly a different tree. Like it was like in a park or something.
Yeah, there's the end of the first episode. Are you comfortable rating these episodes out of 10?
And then that's the end of the first episode.
Okay. Who's your... And aliens count as characters in Ben 10, right?
This is literally in all aspects to be the replacement for Kira's Kingdom. Like same system.
All right, what was your favorite character in this episode?
Do they?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I would agree.
Okay. No, that's stupid.
Or maybe actually alternate pitch. Maybe
aliens are characters.
We pick a favorite character and a favorite alien. Okay. Fine. We'll just count the aliens. We'll count the aliens. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, your favorite character is like just Heat Blast by a long shot.
My favorite character Heat Blast every episode. now this is an option.
Why do you say that? Just because he's just so cool?
Yeah, in this episode, it's probably Heat Blast, because he looks so fucking cool and like he feels expressive. Like he feels like an alien that's very compatible with Ben's personality, and like it shines very well in this first episode.
Yeah, I think he's a really good like introduction to what the Omnitrix has to offer.
Things in mind, but it's just very, very good early showing from Heat Blast, and I think this episode.
I mean, my favorite character is between Ben and Gwen. Honestly, I just really enjoyed their dynamic.
Yeah, that's probably the main appeal. That's why it's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, we can just say that, like
that's
we don't have to make.
I wanted to say like separate favorite character and favorite alien because I wanted to give a nod to Ben in general because of like his interactions with other characters and stuff. It's like same thing. It's like we gave honorable mentions.
I mean, I guess I'll just go with
like,
Gwen because Ben is sort of like the status quo,
but Heat Blast
like sort of like like the perspective, whereas Gwen is like
what about
the addition.
What was your Ben or Gwen? You got to choose one. Gun to your head.
I might disagree with you a little bit. He's a little shit.
I feel like I'm gonna give it to Ben a lot. Ben is a very likable main character.
Okay.
I don't understand why you think that, but let me explain this. I was gonna say this earlier and then I got sidetracked. This is like my fucking thesis statement, okay? There's a very specific genre of cartoon that I would call early 2000s core action shows. It's like Ben 10, Danny Phantom, Spectacular Spider-Man specifically, Teen Titans.
What about it?
And there's probably others that
it's
I'm
definitely
not
a distinct
like
categorization.
That style, that very, very specific style. You know what I mean? It's like, this is my best way to describe Ben 10 and so many other shows.
I know it's like
the main character
in the 90s,
is very
but
likable.
I would almost group
the show
Pokemon
is very like poppy
with that
and
as well.
Vibrant and witty. And
either like Pokemon is an anime,
yeah,
but in some regards it's like it's almost a Western cartoon because like we had access to it. You know what I mean? Like we watched Pokemon before we knew what an anime
Well,
was.
Pokemon's an anime.
Yes, but it's also like just as much a cartoon to me and our generation as Ben 10 or another show.
It's like the
because
bridge.
It was just
It's
on
like the
cartoon. It was
gateway
just, you know what I
drug
mean? It was
into
presented to
anime.
us among other cartoons, and we didn't think anything about it.
I'd even argue that like Avatar and like even Ben 10 in a way are like gateways to anime. Like shows very like aggressively inspired by the anime style, which I used to think Ben 10 was guilty of that a little bit more than I do now. Like now I'm starting to like notice the subtleties, but it's still obviously very inspired in the same way that something like Avatar is. It's like secondhand inspiration, you know?
Yo. Yeah,
Are you still there?
No.
Demi.
All right. I think I'm confident that we can move on to episode 2, right? You agree?
Did you hear any of what I just said?
Oh shit, no we didn't.
Well, you're gonna hear it when you edit the podcast, because I don't remember. Have we even finished the questions? No, yeah, you said Gwen, I said Heat Blast for favorite character.
For me, it's the
favorite scene?
Gwen's realization that Heat Blast is Ben.
Probably the Heat Blast introduction.
From him just like, calling her a freak.
Suck his dick more,
alone.
But it is like a very great, it's an awesome introduction to the Omnitrix. It's perfect.
Yeah. I give the episode 1
that
about
is
an 8
great.
out of 10.
That's probably a big honorable mention for me. When Ben first turns into Heat Blast. Rated out of 10.
Yeah.
You see, this is really hard. Because, like, I feel like
is the number as high as you were when you watched the episode?
But I really like this fucking episode. I'm feeling a pretty high number.
Nothing in the world.
Like, maybe the highest number.
All right, you heard it here.
Nothing could be
9
at
from
that
Riely.
level. But
do you have anything else about this episode that you'd like to discuss?
I won't give it a 10 because I know it gets a lot better. But I gotta at least give it a 9. It is really sick.
Let me pull up the second episode.
Nah, but I got a lot about the second episode, so we better get moving.
What, the cough?
Oh, that's right in the OBS record, or not the OBS recording, the fucking Audacity recording. Hopefully your noise cancellation works. Yeah, like I'm coughing, and you can only kind of hear it on Discord, but like it's crystal clear on Audacity.
All right.
I just gotta get used to the tactical mute again.
Washington, BC. Season 1, Episode 2 of the original Ben 10
I've been
cartoon.
spoiled by this noise cancellation nonsense.
It was...
I have to be disciplined.
Sorry, it was written by Greg Klein
in the ways of
and Tom Pugsley, and it was directed by Alex Soto, and animated by Lotto. This episode opens... This opens with the fire, right? The house fire? No. It does. They're in Washington, D.C., and a building is on fire, and a woman and her son are trapped inside. And in this seemingly tragic
I have no recollection.
event,
You're going to have to give me a little more
Heat
detail.
Blast shows up.
Okay.
And, I mean, saves them, right? He blows a hole out of the building, grabs them, and jumps out, saves their lives. Nobody is fazed by the presence of a... No need to thank me. Nobody cares. I mean, like, obviously, like, Ben, like, Ben is, like, a cocky, pretentious little boy. But, like, genuinely, though, like, nobody was,
then he's like, no need to thank me,
you for saving
and nobody
my life.
cares.
And then, like, everybody's just, like, concerned about the family, of course. But, like, not a single person is, like, even fazed by the presence of this fire alien. Which is just mind-boggling to me. I don't understand. And he notices this kid that he saved. He has a gold sumo slammer card, and he's like, "Whoa, you got a gold sumo slammer card?" And he's like, "Yeah. I got it in Sumo Slammer cereal." And then he's like, I think that's cut off with the RV pulling up and Gwen being like, "The bad guys are still escaping. The fire was just a distraction for the bank robbery." And I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. I have to say something first. Like, why the hell would somebody just start an apartment building on fire?
Oh, yeah, okay,
to
this
distract,
is fucking epic.
Like,
the fucking
to distract,
last
like,
car chase.
law enforcement or whoever while they were robbing a bank. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, go ahead.
I just don't like understand what the point is. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like
But
almost
the Heat
almost
Blast
a
car
Death
chase, what do
Note
you gotta say
level
about that?
galaxy brain. Cause this necessary
And what
crazy
about it?
damage in order to protect the image of this specific thing.
Just like describe the scene.
Awesome. So sick. It just looks
Mhm.
awesome. Like it's very fast
Essentially,
and fluid.
the
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 animation
RV
is
is like
fucking
chasing this
awesome.
car,
It
and
just
Heat
like Heat
Blast is like
Blast
shooting
always
at
looks
them,
fucking
right?
awesome. Like I think it must
And
be the
they
HD
eventually,
where it's like I'm noticing
how
this
does what
much more than
happens?
I
The
ever
car
have.
is
But
like,
holy
do they
shit,
like shoot the
Heat
tire or something?
Blast looks sick.
Heat Blast,
Yes.
yeah, he confronts them. He's like, "Now put your hands behind your back," and then like he
Yeah,
transforms back into
something
Ben, and they're like,
happens, the
"Holy
car
shit, it's just a kid.
crashes,
Get
Heat
back in the
Blast,
car."
makes them turn around and put their hands behind their back like he's a cop. And and then he turns into Ben, and then
Yeah, no,
immediately
he makes no
there's a
active
whole like
effort
I
to have
remember
a
there being
secret
a whole
identity
arc about Ben's
in
secret
the original
identity between
series,
Alien Force and Ultimate
at least
Alien.
to my
In
memory,
episode 2 of the original
and
show,
definitely
two
for like the
thugs
first
now know
season.
his secret identity. It seems weird because I do very specifically remember like a
I
plot
do
point
recall.
of like the end of Alien Force leading into the beginning of Ultimate Alien is that like people know
I do
about Ben
recall
now. Like his secret identity is
an
out, and
episode
now he's
where
like a celebrity,
Ben was
and
watching the
that's like a
news, and there
plot
was
point
like a bunch of
in like the end of Alien
on the
Force.
news
So
there was a bunch
it
of
seems weird
reports
that
about
here
like
so early he's
aliens like
just like
from his
flaunting it.
Omnitrix like committing a bunch of crimes, and he was like, "Yo, that's not me," and like people thought it was him, and I remember that being a problem. Kind of like the Ninja Turtles. You remember how the Ninja Turtles like people knew of the Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, same idea. And like I know you haven't seen this. I
Right.
still recommend it, by the way. But like same idea in like Danny Phantom, where like the ghost boy fights
Right.
all the other ghosts, but it's like
Or
he's
they
a
just don't
ghost, though.
understand.
So like he still feels like an
Yeah.
enemy to a lot of characters.
Um
Like
should I watch some Danny
parents are
Phantom before
ghost
we record the
hunters,
next
so they're like,
episode,
even though
and we
this
just
ghost
talk
is
about it
fighting the
briefly?
other ghost, we hunt all the ghosts. So we
Alright, we
want
can
to
do
hunt
that.
this ghost, and they don't know that
We
it's
should do it.
their
Should we
son.
do it at like the beginning or the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But anyways,
dude.
the
Yes.
police show up, and they see Ben like telling these Ben as this 10-year-old child like yelling at these bank robbers
At the beginning.
to, you know,
I think.
what is he even saying at
Yeah.
this point? He's just like yelling at them. He's like, "Yeah.
He's like, yeah, like
Said
I'm
it's
gonna
no time
take
to
you
play
in.
hero.
I
Step
defeated
aside."
you soundly. And then he's a like
And then he's
little
like,
kid,
"Oh,
and then the
man."
cops show up,
And then
and
the
Ben's
theme
like,
song, the awesome theme
rope him up,
song plays.
officers, we got him. And they're
"Aw,
like, stop playing
man."
around, you little fuckhead, get out of here.
What? No. What is Dragon Jake Long?
Aw, man. American Dragon Jake Long. Doesn't he? Do you not know about that show? American Dragon Jake Long. That's another early 2000s core action show in that same vein. It was like kind of like Disney Channel's answer to Danny Phantom, where it was like the premise is there's a kid and he's like there's like a secret magical world, and this
Yeah.
kid has the ability to turn into a dragon, and his like job is to protect the secret magical world. And it's like the reason I thought of it is because like it's a very like weird like hip hoppy vibe where it's like everything has to be like DJ scratches and shit, and he has like a rapper voice.
Yeah.
And it's like the reason I think of it is because at the end of like every
Another
cold open before the
2000s
theme song plays,
action
not
show
like
would have to
everyone,
be,
but a lot of them is like he'll go
fuck, the
like something
second
stupid will happen
generation
to him
Ninja
and he'll go,
Turtles show.
"Aw,
I just thought of that.
man," and then the theme song
Do you
starts.
remember Gen 2? That shit went hard.
Yo, TMNT 2003, that shit rips. That was actually another watch along pod. I haven't talked about this project like since I announced it, and then we just never did it and never talked about it again. But I had like it was a plan with an IRL from high school. So you know like how
Yeah.
long ago this was in my podcast career, where it was like we were gonna do like the Turtle Power podcast. I know it was the Cowabunga cast. And we were just gonna like the premise was we were gonna watch all the Ninja Turtles cards, and we never did it. But I
There's
had like
a
real
Cowabunga
tentative plans
podcast
for
on
it, and that's
Spotify.
like the kind of thing that later in my career, when I was more capable of that
This
sort of thing,
this
I did as, like,
podcast is in
Kira's
Spanish
Kingdom,
too,
the
so
Brony Initiation podcast,
I think you would have
and
cornered the
now
market for the
Omnitrix
Cowabunga
Radio.
cast, at least in the English-speaking world. Um,
Well, it's not the Cowabunga cast. Cowabunga
back to the
cast,
episode.
one word. That's
what the hell happens? The theme song plays, and then essentially, like, Ben is in the RV with. Wait, no, we don't get to that
in
yet.
the English-speaking
This is the Dr.
regions,
Animo
yeah.
apartment. Yes. Go watch me and Riley's Ben 10 Protector of Earth Let's Play. It's good.
Yeah, where we learn eviction is the root of all evil.
Yeah, this episode is gonna.
What's really funny is now, since
This is
I'm
gonna come
post
out
this on my
before
main
the
channel
next
to, like, try to
Protector
take
of Earth
advantage of the
upload
traction,
too.
it is gonna become my main channel is just going to become a Ben 10 channel for a while.
This is coming
I
out
think,
tomorrow, by the
because
way.
we recorded so many Protector
Like,
of Earth, and then we have this.
I can get it
podcast.
done, edited by the end of tomorrow, yeah, or like by like tomorrow evening. 100%.
Yeah,
I'm probably
so my
gonna finish
channel's
it
just
tonight,
a
but
Ben
we'll
10
see.
channel now.
I already made like a preset in my.
You think so?
Editing software for the visuals and shit. Holy shit, man! It's whatever, man. This is a real podcast.
God, we've been going for almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, for
now.
sure. I don't think we've like had like a conversation that was just really boring, except for maybe the brief talk
This
about
is
like
a good
Monkey Jones
podcast,
and shit.
and you know,
'Cause
like, there's a little bit
people
of
might not
awkward
wanna hear that,
silence,
but
but that's what
aside
editing
from
is for.
that,
This
I
is
think
gonna sound
we're doing fairly
fucking
well.
concise as hell.
Honestly, watch long podcasts are so good. Yeah,
I like these little, like,
cool.
we have like these reality show confessionals where, like,
you
we
know, like, we're
acknowledge
honest, you know,
the
we're not, like,
existence of the
pretending.
podcast
Like,
and, like,
a lot of
talk
people are
about its
pretentious. They pretend.
marketability. I like I like
like,
this
we're just-
trope. I think
Like,
it's
this is
a
just
good
us
trope.
talking. You know what I mean? Like, there's very little that distinguishes me and Riley just chilling and chatting in a call and the podcast.
Yeah, we're
we
not
put
like
out.
putting on appearances.
for
Like, we're
maybe
letting
just
you
the
see
structure,
behind the
that's it.
baseball.
And like, I think that's cool. Like, people just get a taste of us chilling. You know what I mean? And our personalities. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the structure is like a fun way. Like, that's probably why we get into tangents a lot.
Yeah.
Because, like, at the end of the day, structures are a
But
good way to get
anyways.
you talking. But then, like,
Yeah.
naturally one
A
talk
tangent about
leads to an
tangents.
unrelated talk, because that's kind of just how, like, conversations with your friends work.
Yeah, just
So that's why we get
Dr.
into a lot
Animo.
of tangents. Like,
It's this
we
like
do.
creepy guy with like green skin. And
Speaking
he's
of
like,
tangents, this is one,
his like
so let's
landlord is
move
like
on.
banging on his door, and he's like in this like filthy apartment with just like a bunch of like animals and cages and aquariums and shit. And like, okay.
Okay, Demigloom, about Dr. Animo, I'm about to make the most insane comparison you'll ever hear in your life, using other franchises to describe exactly what Dr. Animo is. Dr. Animo is a mix between two famous villains from different shows, okay? First, the Joker.
You know,
from
I
Batman
never would
the
have thought of that
Animated Series.
myself, but you
Second,
are on the nose with
Dr.
that one.
Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb.
That was
It is like
it's
the
true.
perfect marriage
he's
of
like
those
the mad
two character
scientist
premises.
right? And he's also like less like cognitively able than Dr. Doofenshmirtz, right?
Oh, but
Hey,
Ben,
guys.
I
What were you
just
gonna say?
called you Ben. Welcome
It's
to
gone.
the Ben 10
He's got that
with co-host Ben.
he's got that like Joker like insanity to him, you know what I mean?
Fuck, it's gone. What were you? Can you contextualize it a little bit? Oh yeah, he's got Joker, he's got Dr. Doofenshmirtz, and it's like, oh, I was gonna ask you. You have
Not in
you
the
have an
original
extensive
series,
knowledge
but I
of the original
believe
series.
that
You've
happens
watched
in
it like
Omniverse.
7,000
I specifically
times, right?
remember a scene in Omniverse
Is
where
there an
Ben,
episode or
goes to,
episodes where
like, the alien
Ben and
prison
Dr. Animo have to
and,
work together
like,
reluctantly against the
seeks
common
Dr.
enemy?
Animo out like for a specific cause. I don't recall if they work together or if he just needs information from him, but like he definitely like works with Dr. Animo in Omniverse at some point. Damn.
Oh my
Ben,
god,
Ben doesn't.
that's also
well,
literally
I'm
a
sorry,
Danny
Ben
Phantom
doesn't
plot.
go to prison.
Danny
He's
goes
not
to
an
Ghost
inmate.
Prison and
He,
teams up with like his
he
like
visits
main
the
rival
prison
enemy Skulker
looking for
to
Dr.
escape.
Animo. That's pretty silly.
Okay.
I always liked the like the the
Yeah, no,
uniting
Danny gets
against the
locked up
common
in
enemy
Ghost Prison as
plot
an
point,
inmate and has to
but
like
it
team up with his worst enemy to escape.
yeah, I think
Yeah, it's like Dr. Animo feels like that
yeah,
type of character. Like he has that sort of like vibe to him where it's like he
I
hates this kid
like
and
when
wants
they
to
do
kill
that with
him,
like
but
villains that you
also
can
like will
sympathize
work
with.
with
You know what I
him.
mean? Like
Like
when there's a
another
villain
example
that's
is like
like,
Dr. Eggman and
oh, the
Sonic,
whole time he
where
was
like
just
they're
hurting, you know what I
forced to
mean?
work
And he
together all
just
the
wanted
time, even though they
he
hate
did
each
this for the
other.
betterment of humanity or whatever. You know what I mean? But if it was like I could see Batman, right? Like working with like the Penguin.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah, and Batman working with the Joker doesn't make much sense to me. Cuz like, you know what I mean? Or like,
he's worked with the Joker plenty,
right.
but it happens all the time, and it's like when you watch it, it's
Right.
like it
I
doesn't
think
make sense on paper, but then you watch it and it just feels right. Like you can't do it all the time, or it becomes like washed out. But, like
yeah.
it's something you do
I
once
think
or twice, but it's like the most
Spider-Man and
iconic
Venom
thing
was
to ever
one that
happen.
always puzzled me. That's a sort of
Like
bipartisanship that
if there
just
is
like
not an episode where Doctor Animo
I've
and
said
Ben have to
boggled
work
my
together
mind
against a
like
common
3 times on this
enemy,
podcast. I don't know why I'm
it
feeling
should
so.
exist. Well, I think the premise in the comics is literally as simple as Venom by accident creates Carnage, and it's a symbiote enemy
Right,
he
but like
can't
within
take
the
down on his
canon,
own. So naturally, he teams with the other strongest person he knows, which is his worst rival, Spider-Man, to fight this common enemy of Carnage. That is the. It's a very
it's kind of like
simple
how the
and concise
U.S. and the
premise.
Soviet Union
Where it's like I created this
beat the shit
enemy,
out
I
of
can't take it
Hitler
on alone,
in
and
the
the
World
only
War
person I
II.
know that's strong enough to like keep up with me is my worst enemy,
Stalin,
and that's the Venom and Spider-Man
the Soviet
relationship.
Union is Venom, America is Spider-Man, and Hitler is Carnage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's actually a really fucking
And
good
there goes
example
our
too.
potential monetization. We said Hitler, boys. We did it. We said Hitler. I think we just
Carnage,
say
yeah.
Hitler on like every podcast we do. We just have to mention Hitler at some point.
Yeah. We did it.
Yeah. For
It's like the
us, it's
bingo
like
card.
we don't
Like
talk about Hitler
a lot
on
of
every
podcasts
single
that actually
episode
have
of
like
every podcast, but like
fans,
every
like a lot of
podcast
fans will
we
like
do,
submit
like
like
there
a
has
little
to be
fun
an
bingo
episode where we
card of
bring
like
up
things to
Hitler
check
somewhere.
off that are like in every episode, like tropes.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it was
put that on
episode
our
1 of
bingo
Kira's
card.
Kingdom as well.
There has to be an episode where Hitler
Right,
is
and in Hitler
discussed.
is like always like the go-to example for like
Well,
worst
I think
person
we
ever.
as just like a
You know,
friend
just like
circle and like
universally,
content creators are just very interested in like intellectual
right?
discussions.
Exactly.
That's why we're
He's like the
naturally
real
magnetized
villain
to
of the
that sort
world,
of
and I
thing.
don't know. It's just like I could compare like there's villains that you could compare to Hitler.
Yeah, like talking about like morality relating to the worst of the world.
What?
The whole world since the 1940s
No, Hitler.
has just been
Hitler
the
is like the
epilogue.
nine-tailed fox.
No, the climax of Earth was when they defeated Hitler.
No.
And everything
Hitler's the nine-tailed fox. Like the victory of World War II is like
everything beyond that point is just like the epilogue to the main story that ended when Hitler died.
Oh, we don't know that. It was Donald Trump. I
Wait,
know
no,
I'll
if it was the
become
nine-tailed
president one
fox,
day.
then the hero would like harness his power, and I don't think
Yo,
America
that's
ever
actually like
harnessed
somebody needs to write this.
Hitler.
Like Adolf, like a Naruto real life parallel. Like Hitler is the nine-tailed fox
no.
and Donald Trump is Naruto. It would have to be pro-Trump, even though as much as I despise Donald Trump, I'm willing to create a pro-Trump narrative just for the sake of hilarious storytelling. Oh yeah, certainly. The protagonist. Anime protagonist vibes for sure. But we keep forgetting to talk about Dr. Animo and his apartment.
Donald
and
Trump
his
does
eviction.
seem like the main character of a comedy anime.
Well, he doesn't necessarily get evicted. His landlord comes in, he's like, "It's your landlord." Well, I guess I was your landlord. And it's like implied that he was like gonna evict him. And then like Dr. Animo just goes on this like
Animo gets evicted from
rant.
his
He's
apartment 'cause he
like,
didn't pay his
"Oh,
rent.
interesting choice." So he made some sort of animal reference. He's like, "My funds go to my research." And he's like, "Are you an animal lover?" And he's like, and he like Dr. Animo like puts on this like helmet
My
in, like,
funds go
weird,
to
like,
my
chest plate.
research.
And then the landlord just like laughs in his face. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then Animo like pushes this button and like it shoots this laser beam at his frog, and the frog like grows to like a giant size. Like the frog is like the size of an elephant, and the frog eats the landlord. And then the landlord is trying to speak from inside the stomach of the frog, and then he says, "Sorry, I can't understand you. You must have a frog in your throat." And he's like, "Or is that the other way around?" Yeah. Ooh.
Yes, that was the moment where I was like, this is literally Mark Hamill's Joker. Who is this?
I remember how my
it's
internet's
not Mark Hamill, but it's a very similar
Discord,
vibe.
and barely on Discord.
Who voices Dr.
I look it up on my phone.
I honestly wouldn't be that surprised if it's actually Mark Hamill, but it's definitely a similar
Dwight Schultz.
Oh, shit. Okay. Fuck.
He's in Chowder. He's who? Mung.
Okay. Can you like scroll down to his filmography real quick?
I don't know who Mung is.
If you recognize him from anything?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, he's Mung. He's
Ultimate
Mung,
Avengers
isn't he?
2. All Hail King
Yeah.
Julian. He's in Ultimate Spider-Man
Does
and
it not
Invader
say
Zim.
The character name in the filmography?
Scooby-Doo, Mysteries Incorporated.
Okay, yeah, I think it's Mung.
Princess
Very similar
Mononoke.
voice.
Yeah, for sure. Then he like rides his frog out, and it's like the implication is that
this
he's on the
checks out.
loose.
He definitely has just like a
Wait, no,
like,
he sees a commercial. He's like, "Oh, where am I gonna get the supplies that I need?" And he sees a commercial for Meg. Yeah, that was. Yeah, it was literally the same voice. It was pretty shameless.
And then he sees a commercial.
There was a commercial on
Grandpa
TV
Max's
for Mega Mart,
voice acting
which
job.
is Walmart.
They just used his voice actor in the same voice.
Yeah, Grandpa Max, him voicing a Mega Mart commercial.
Grandpa Max gotta make some extra money to fund the camping trip. He's voicing over commercials.
Yeah, Dr. Animal sees a commercial for Mega Mart, which is like obviously Walmart, and he's like, okay. And
famous voice actor. This is where I get all the things. This is where I save money and live better.
You can't hear it on Discord, but I'm laughing pretty maniacally.
Yeah.
Yeah, then he like jumps out.
This is the good thing about Audacity. That'll catch.
Yeah, and he's on the loose with this giant frog, and then it cuts back to Ben, Gwen, and Max in the RV, and then Ben talks about how, wait, nope, that doesn't happen until later. They go to Mega Mart. They go to Mega Mart, and Grandpa Max is like looking at gross shit for food, and then Gwen is like, "Ew, no, I don't want to do that." I don't remember what was it that they were looking.
I don't know.
He was like, I wonder where they keep the something gross. And then he was like, all right, let's go look.
Oh, sheep bladder.
Yeah, the sheep bladder. How did that fly? That's disgusting.
Yeah, the food jokes about Grandpa Max do get pretty disgusto.
I just can't imagine. Now, where do you suppose they keep the sheep's bladder? Like he wants to eat.
Like, there's a common. No, the conversation that leads to that is like they only have canned octopus. I thought they had a variety.
Yeah, I thought they had variety. They only have canned octopus. Wow.
As opposed to like freshly packed octopus, I suppose.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Let's go look at the pet aisle." And then Gwen's like, "Please tell me we're not looking for our dinner." That was kind of funny.
I was looking for a breakfast.
Whatever, dude.
Come on.
Whatever. Fuck you.
Your Ben 10 lines right, bitch.
I'm sorry I didn't.
Bitch.
I'm sorry I didn't memorize the script to this episode of Ben 10.
You better be fucking sorry.
All right, Riely, tell them about the cereal box part. I'm not doing all the work.
Fuck you. I've done some of the work.
In the plot explanation, no.
Yeah.
You gotta explain some of the plot.
I took over a couple times during the first episode.
Okay, new rule. We're each doing every other episode of this podcast.
No. I will never do this podcast again. That was the one. The Kira's Kingdom. Mo got to ride it out. I'm riding it out. You have a distinct understanding of this franchise. You do it.
Fine. We see we see like Gwen walk into the cereal aisle, right? And there's like just hundreds of boxes of cereal, just all over the place, spilled all over. And we see Ben transformed into gray matter, which is like a tiny little alien. Who's like, how tall? He looks like he's about like 8 inches tall. He's like really tiny. He's the really tiny and smart alien that Ben can turn into, and he's like digging around,
like the size of like a normal like lizard you see walking around.
I'd say he's like, yeah, that sounds about right. He's very lizard-like too, but he's like digging in all these cereal boxes, all these like Sumo Slammer cereal boxes, and Gwen's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And then he's like, looking for the gold Sumo Slammer card, duh. And the store, an employee at the store comes and sees like all of that shit laying all over the ground, and is like, somebody's gonna have to pay for this, and then walks away.
Someone's gonna have to pay for this cereal.
SpongeBob, someone's gonna have to pay for all this. And then Dr. Animo like comes into Megamart. He like just riding his giant frog, just like smashes through the ceiling, possibly killing 30 people, and
oh god,
possibly leaving 16 dead and 32 injured. What I want to do for this show, we should do like a hypothetical death count, because there's so like in these action cartoons, there's like so many, like we just watch like skyscrapers get like shattered and just like smashed down, and like the, all this like carnage and wreckage. Like how much, like the amount of people that probably die in Ben 10 is actually probably insane. Like thousands of people probably died. I think the death count of 9/11 isn't even rivaled by fucking Ben 10.
Like the death count of what isn't rivaled by Ben 10?
9/11. It can't even rival 9/11. Or the other way around, whatever, fuck you.
We don't have to get edgy when we talk about Ben 10. We're gonna talk about it purely and
the amount of like buildings that get completely destroyed and shit, dude. Those fucking lights were on.
Fair
bro.
enough. That's probably it's probably similarly amounts of devastating when like structures all around you are collapsing like every day. In the head of this like crazy alien conflict that you can't do anything about.
Yes.
Like I wrote like a video script back when I was trying to be like an exact copy of Monkey Jones. I wrote like Riely's anime reviews on Dragon Ball Z, and like the premise of the like video essay, quote unquote, was just like how terrifying it would be to live as a normal human in the world of Dragon Ball, where like there are like crazy ape men with the power to destroy a galaxy with one finger, punching each other like on the other side of the planet, and like if something goes mildly wrong, you're probably going to explode.
Yeah. I feel that way about, I mean, you can make that argument about pretty much any action franchise, especially animated.
But it's like Dragon Ball Z, it's often on a planetary scale, so that's why it's the specific example. Yeah. Where it's like there are multiple times where an entire planet gets destroyed, and like it comes back because like the Dragon Balls, but like just the concept of like having to go through that, even to forget it later, I feel like there'd be some sort of inherent PTSD.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Like to have even if it's like erased from your memory, quote unquote, to have experienced exploding along with a planet.
Right. People,
like, I feel like some of that will stay with you.
People with PTSD who have like serious amnesia actually still like experience trauma. They just don't like have it linked to a memory. All the sensitivities that come with, post-traumatic stress disorder do not go away once you lose the memory of the traumatic event. So,
yeah, that's true.
Anyways, back to Megamart.
Yep.
What happens? Dr. Animo is like, he smashes in, killing 17 people and injuring 32. And
he has a horrifying terror hamster. I put that down in my notes specifically.
No, he doesn't.
A parrot monster, and he has a horrifying terror hamster.
No. He goes to the pet aisle and mutates these animals.
He goes to the pet aisle, and then he creates the horror hamster.
Yeah.
disgusting Lovecraftian creature.
And then like Ben 10 like walks up to him and he's like, "You're lucky I can't go hero because his Omnitrix is timed out because he wasted it trying to."
He wasted it looking for the Sumo Slammer card as gray matter. Yeah. And then I just made a direct comparison to Spectacular Spider-Man where what type of pet food are they selling here? Like I can hear that in Josh Keaton's Spider-Man voice very specifically. Like it's a very that show quip.
Yeah.
You've seen that show, right?
Which Spider-Man?
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah. I've been
what type of pet food are they selling here line, like I can hear that in the Josh Keaton Spider-Man voice.
Yeah.
It fits.
Which alien does Ben eventually transform into to fight Dr. Animo?
You see, I was about to ask you the same thing.
I forgot which one it was.
No, it was Forearms. This is a Forearms introduction, I believe.
Oh.
He suplexes a giant hamster. It's fucking days.
Oh yeah. Wait,
but
no.
Before the transformation, actually, I want to say, immediately in episode 2, Ben very exemplary proves his place as a hero because his Omnitrix is timed out. He's dealing with these like this terrifying, disgusting hamster creature, and he's like, I don't have to rely on this watch to like be a hero. I just have to use my surroundings in a clever way. And then he uses that fucking scooter and he beats the hamster without being an alien.
That's right. He doesn't turn into Forearms until like way later.
The Omnitrix chose right. He feels like a chosen one in the good way.
Right.
I said this already, but that's my thing.
Right.
It's like he wasn't the only choice, but like he ended up being a good choice.
Right. Didn't they make? Do you remember the episode? They definitely made this episode. They made like an alternate episode where like Gwen got the Omnitrix, and then an alternate where
I believe there was an episode where like there was some sort of wacky shenanigans that resulted in Gwen getting the Omnitrix within the normal timeline for a time.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly. We'll just have to wait till we get there.
Yeah, I think once magic starts becoming involved in the show, there's some sort of like magic spell that gets Gwen the Omnitrix for an episode.
You know, some people argue that magic like ruined Ben 10. Like that was like the downfall.
I don't know. I'd have to see it in more detail. So I guess more on this as it develops.
Yeah, I would argue, in case anyone listening cares about my opinion, I would argue that like magic, among many other things, led to the decline of the show. Like I don't think magic was the cause of the show's decline. I think it was a byproduct of the show's decline. Like the direction that they were moving in, just like wanting to add like more and more like crazy shit to the show. You know what I mean?
So do you have like a dislike for Alien Force or Ultimate Alien compared to original Ben 10?
I'll always prefer the original show just because it's like this show like was my childhood and Alien Force just never was. You know what I mean? Like
for sure, but I mean like objectively the way you're saying where like Ben 10 like lost its luster. Like I feel like you can only start to make that argument at like Omniverse or the reboot.
See, I don't even think that Ben 10 lost its luster like in the later seasons of the original series. I think it definitely wasn't as good as it once was. You know what I mean? Like the second 2 seasons are definitely not as good as the first 2 seasons. But I really haven't even seen enough Alien Force to like say as a whole. In terms of like the aesthetic and like the aliens and like the whole vibe and shit, I totally fuck with Alien Force. But I just haven't like watched enough episodes.
We need to put this to bed right now. I need to know the number. What is the episode count of original Ben 10? Look this up for me.
Okay.
Can you not just get like a total episode count?
Yeah, there's 52.
Okay, so no, that's gay.
What?
Hey, Demigloom, what's 52 divided by 2?
52 divided by 2 is 26. Yeah, because 25 times 2 is 50.
I guess with like additional movies and shit, there's going to be like 29 episodes of this podcast, and then we'll be on Alien Force.
I think we can do it. I mean,
yes,
Curious Kingdom happened quickly.
I'm very interested for... Yeah, Curious Kingdom had more than that. I'm very interested to see, like, what you feel about Alien Force when you see it in more detail, because I feel like we're like opposites. Like I have this like weird memory of Alien Force that's like really like I remember a lot of it in the same way that you, but like we have the different blank spot, you know.
I know the original series like the back of my hand because like when I was a child, like I didn't have any access to streaming services or anything, and I just had like the DVDs I had, and one of those or a few of those DVDs were Ben 10 DVDs, and those were my favorite. So like as a child, like every night when I went to sleep, I would watch Ben 10. So I just this is my like the first what from age 3 to age fuck it, I'll just admit it, from like age 3 to age 12. Like it was Ben 10.
Damn.
So like for 9 years I watched Ben 10 like every weekend. So I mean, I have a pretty good memory of most of what happened.
I'm like hyped to watch Ben 10 now in such a big way.
Me too.
Like I'm ready to do this podcast every week.
Me too.
Forever.
But yeah, back to the episode. We see Ben defeats Dr. Animo, and the store owner is like, how can we ever thank you? And then Ben 10's like, well, there's one thing, and he's looking at that Gold Sumo Slammers card that's on display. And then Grandpa Max is like, we don't have time, Ben. Drags him back to the RV, and he's like, oh. And then in the RV, they sort of have a conversation where Ben is like, yeah, man, being a hero sucks, man. Nobody appreciates me. Which is, I mean, fair. Because, like, he literally rescued a bunch of people from a burning building, and, like, nobody cared. Like, I feel like he deserves to be commended. You know what I mean?
Realistically, what is stopping him from just taking the card and leaving?
Right, exactly.
Like, why was that a sticking point where Grandpa Max had to, like, pick him up and take him away?
Right,
Like,
it literally would have taken, like, 1 second to just grab the card. I don't understand, but I think, I mean, it's obviously it's a plot device.
Also, these Sumo Slammer cards, like, look awful.
Yeah, they're literally just like
why would anybody want them? It's like a fucking shitty NFT nowadays.
Oh my god.
It's like, why would you want this so bad?
Riely, are there Sumo Slammer NFTs yet?
No, but I think we just realized the cryptocurrency that we're gonna make.
How do you make NFTs in 5 minutes? Is there a YouTube
the
short
Sumo
that's gonna tell me?
NFTs.
All right, everyone, go to sumoslammer.nft to invest in your favorite Sumo Slammer.
Get your Solana wallet ready.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, is it that hard to make NFTs? I mean, like Dick Masterson made Shawnees. Seemingly,
there is like money that went
ease.
into that though.
A lot of money.
Like they don't get into like specific numbers, but like you can tell by the way they conversated about it that like it was at least like in the hundreds.
Ah, damn. Shit, I'll be employed soon. Let's do this. Sumo Slammer NFTs. No, but seriously, like Ben has a conversation with Grandpa Max about like being a hero and how he doesn't feel like, you know, like how he feels like it's just pointless and not rewarding. And then Grandpa Max is like, being a hero is its own reward. And he's like,
with great power comes great responsibility.
And then he's like, were you reading the greeting cards at the Mega Mart? And then Grandpa Max is like, well, actually, yes. That was kind of a tiny bit funny. Although that was pretty good. That doesn't really feel like something that would be put on a greeting card. Being a hero.
I don't know
if
we've gotten to this point yet, but I might be skipping ahead a little bit. But the part where they're like in the like government building,
they're in the museum,
or like the Washington Monument.
Yes.
And they're fighting like Dr. Animo or something, and it's like Grandpa Max says, would it have killed the founding fathers to have installed an elevator?
Oh my god, yes. I was going to bring that up.
That was a very good line.
That was so funny. But we'll get there in a second. Essentially, after this conversation, they drive to this monument. What was the significance of this monument? How did they...
I believe it was the Washington Monument, because they were in Washington, D.C.
Yes, but like why did they know Animo was going to be there?
Because I think there was like an award ceremony.
No. That was at a.
He thought he should have.
That was at a different place. Remember?
But I don't know. I have no
idea.
I
don't fucking remember. They go into this museum or whatever. Not the museum. This monument, the Washington Monument, and
maybe Animo just wants to like steal shit and or do bad things.
Yeah.
That seems in line.
I remember in the RV, Gwen like looked up Dr. Animo and they're like, oh, he's this weird guy who was nominated for this award, and he was super pissed because he didn't get it, and yeah, and he does weird experiments on animals, which I think we gathered at this point. But
yeah, I think we've gotten that context with our context clues
at the mammoth, not the mammoth, at the Washington Monument, he like brings a mammoth back to life and like a T-Rex back to life.
At the mammoth.
Yes.
Wait, no, never mind. I was wrong. He definitely didn't use forearms against the hamster. I'm so sorry. He did not suplex a hamster. He suplexed a mammoth.
Yeah.
In this scene.
Ben turns into forearms, the red guy with forearms.
Who was he in the store then? Shit.
He wasn't anyone in the store. I think it might have been Diamond. No, remember, he wasn't anyone in the store?
But I thought he eventually became...
No, he didn't.
Okay. Yeah. Forearms is in this scene.
Yeah, Forearms was in this scene. He beat the shit out of a mammoth and a T-Rex, I believe. Wait, no, not the T-Rex, the mammoth. The T-Rex comes in later.
The T-Rex bests him a little bit.
Yeah, then...
But he does suplex the mammoth. It's pretty lit.
Yeah, and Gwen also fights the bird.
Yeah, Gwen goes hard with that fucking stick, bro. She got skills.
Yeah, she beat the shit out of it. She must have taken fencing classes or something.
Gwen has like big girl boss energy in that scene. Damn.
She beat the living shit out of that giant bird. And yeah, there's a point where Grandpa Max says, would it kill the founding fathers if they installed an elevator? And that was really funny because he was walking up the stairs and he's an old person. Absolutely hilarious. He then, what the fuck happens after that? When do they like transition to like they go to the place where Animo's gonna get his award, right?
Yeah, and I think that's also the Washington Monument. I think I was right.
Oh, okay. Well, and Gwen is. Remember when Gwen is kidnapped though?
Oh. I'm gonna stop trying to remember this.
Yeah.
Something happens.
Yeah, Gwen was like kidnapped by the giant bird. Like the giant bird like took her to the top of the Washington Monument.
Yes. That is the circumstance. You are correct, sir.
And then they go to save her, ma'am, Riely.
That was I was quoting a movie.
Mm-hmm.
No, for real, I was quoting a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, literally, Demi, let me explain this to you.
Okay.
So, in science class in 8th grade, we used to play this like science trivia game where we would also like throw a ball into a basket. And it was like always this like big deal when we played it. And they like had it set up with like this PowerPoint where like if you got the answer right, it would play like some stupid meme about being right. And like if you got it wrong, it would play some like stupid meme about being wrong.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the memes that played when you were right was like a very like silly voice saying, "You are correct, sir."
Yeah.
So like I just quote that all the time. I was not calling you sir, I was quoting that.
All right, Riely, how do you plead against the accusations of misgendering Demigloom on podcast?
Not guilty.
Okay. Moving on. Yeah, they're at the Washington Monument. How do they save Gwen? What the fuck did they... Oh, Stinkfly. Ben turns into Stinkfly.
Oh, I had a point. So I obviously the Heat Blast transformation kind of has this too, but it was very apparent with Stinkfly. I forgot how apparent it was with Stinkfly. These transformations look like psychological horror levels of painful.
Yeah. We see like
the way the Stinkfly transformation is animated.
We see Ben like grow eyes out of the side of his head and just like his skin like get completely transformed
and like be replaced by this like bug.
Yeah.
Like he's coming out of the cocoon and the cocoon is Ben.
You know what I think those are supposed to be like? Like magical girl transformations, like Sailor Moon.
Except like horrifying?
Yeah. No, I think that's like the concept because like they have like that weird like green background, right? Whereas like the
yeah, or like a more apt example is like Power Rangers morphing sequences.
Right.
Like where it's like, oh, a funny, silly graphic that tells you that they're transforming into the hero guy.
Right. I think it reminds me more of like Sailor Moon or just like magical girl transformations personally. Maybe that's just because I'm familiar with them. But just like they have like...
Yeah, you're more familiar with magical girls. I'm more familiar with Power Rangers. I think it's a similar concept both ways.
We'll put them both... No, I will not do that. We don't have Craig to mark shit down. I'm not putting anything on the screen. Fuck you guys. Look at our profile pictures and go, ooh, the audio wave thingies. That's all you get.
Ooh, Betsy.
Yeah. So Ben turns into Stinkfly, who's like a bug creature with. Do we need to explain each alien? Like people
No.
know who Stinkfly is. Y'all know Stinkfly.
Who the fuck? Who is listening to this show and is not already intimately familiar with Ben
Right,
10?
right. You, Riley.
I mean, I'm intimately familiar with some of Ben 10.
Okay. But yeah, he turns into Stinkfly, he saves Gwen, and he goes into the building, and like there's the dude. He's like the dude who actually won the award, not Dr. Animo, is sort of presenting his award to his peers, and like Dr. Animo's like, I think you have something that belongs to me, riding a T-Rex into that room, and
God, Dr. Animo is so fucking based.
and then again, essentially he grabs the guy right with the T-Rex, and Ben swoops in and saves him with Stinkfly. But Ben 10 realizes that, oh my god, on the ground in this completely random location, there's a gold sumo slammer card. Like, what? Why was there a gold sumo slammer card in the Washington Monument? Why?
What was it doing there?
Why was there a gold sumo slammer card? The world will never know. But the gold sumo slammer card is a plot device for him to earn, like, being a hero. And he's like, yeah, or like, yeah, he beats Dr. Animo. He takes his machine, right, and he breaks it, and then the bird and the T-Rex just turn back to normal.
And then there's the cute little moment where the bird like lands on Gwen and is like being affectionate. She's like, "Don't try to win me over now."
Yeah, that was really funny. And then like it cuts to Dr. Animo getting arrested. Just him in the back of a cop car.
And he's like, "No,
No,
I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids and your stupid fly alien too."
Yes, literally. And then Ben is like just like staring at him in the window, and he like smiles at him or whatever. Apparently Ben gets to keep Animo's machine. I don't know if he ever gets to use it. I think it's broken. Like I know he doesn't use
And
it
then
in the show.
there's a very cute and subtle moment between Ben and Gwen, which you have to like be paying attention to catch, because it's very brief. It's like 2 sentences long, where there's a very genuine like heartwarming moment of like, "You were great out there today, Ben. Thank you." And then it like immediately turns into like an argument, and they're calling each other dweebs and geeks.
No, he was
But,
like
in that very small moment, like you can feel the true like familial bond.
he was like, yeah, I saved the day, and I got to get a thing from Animo, and she's like, yeah, and you saved me. I think that's how that went. But then like Ben also was talking about like how like, yeah, man, I didn't get the gold sumo slammer card, but I'm glad that I made the decision to save somebody's life over a piece of fucking cardboard with
A really
shitty
shitty trading card.
Yeah. Way to go, Ben, for choosing to save somebody's life.
It's like maybe if it was like a holographic Charizard.
Right,
like,
right, maybe.
Sumo Slammers look awful.
I mean, like, realistically, honestly, you could probably, with a holographic Charizard, you could sell that, and with that money, you could use that. You could use that to save more lives than the one life. That's how valuable these fucking cards are. Yeah, no, but that's the end of the episode.
That's such like reverse utilitarianism.
What is reverse utilitarianism?
Or maybe it's just utilitarianism. It's just in like a weird way.
Saving a Charizard over a human being, because you know that
with
saving
that money, a Charizard over a human
lives.
Because of like the logical leap of saving more lives with the money used from the sold trading card.
That is utilitarianism. It's literally
It's like the trolley problem,
yes,
but with a fucking sumo slammer card.
I fucking hate people who are always like, oh, would you rather have $1 billion or would you take $1 billion if it killed somebody immediately? And I'm like, yeah, well, I could save more lives. It's like, but would you? Like, would any of these people like actually save lives?
It's like it'd be mentally scarring to know that you took a life.
Yes.
And it's like, I think life has its own way of like, I think eventually it'll get to you in a more personal way. Like you'll find out who it was, some shape or other. Like life has like a funny way of working where that happens in a lot of circumstances. I think it's like, I think eventually you'll find out who it was, and that'll make you feel worse in this hypothetical scenario.
Yeah, it turns out it was like some 9-year-old girl, and you used your money to save the lives of like murderers or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's clearly late. We're clearly getting a little bit tired and less cognitively. Do you have anything else you want to say about these episodes or just Ben 10 in general? No rush.
Well, we gotta do the favorite shit.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So favorite character in this episode, 100% Dr. Animo. Not even a fucking question,
Oh
Dr.
yeah.
Animo.
He's a badass villain.
You too?
Yeah. 100%.
Favorite scene?
I mean, honestly, the scene that brought me the most joy was the Mega Mart commercial with Grandpa Max's voice. But that's obviously not like actually the best scene. My favorite scene is definitely the what was I gonna say? I don't know. I think maybe the cereal box thing.
I kind of like forearms suplexing a mammoth. Like that's definitely like a metal as fuck.
You want to hear my hot take?
Sure.
I just don't really like forearm.
Yeah, he's definitely not one of my favorites.
He's just there.
But it is pretty dope that he suplexed the mammoth in this particular case.
It was pretty badass. It was definitely
like,
cooler than
put,
the
like
Diamond
any
Head
strong
fight.
Ben 10 alien in that position. Exactly. Like it could have been Diamond Head. You go like later, like the Humongousaur has probably done 10 things similar to that in Alien Force.
Yeah.
It's like the very common trope for like strong character do unreasonable strong thing.
Yeah. For sure. Who was your favorite character? Oh, we did the character, favorite scene. How would you rate it out of 10?
Honestly, I think just the pure iconicness of Dr. Animo, the great character moments. I think this episode is genuinely deserving of a 10.
I give it a 9.
Oh, so I'm consistently 1 point up from you. We gave episode 1, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
And now we gave this one 9 and 10.
Yeah. I guess. Guess that's what happened.
Yeah, it's like I always feel weird like rating early episodes really high because then I'm like, oh, but it feels weird like later. But like,
right,
there can be multiple 10s like if you like a show enough.
Right.
Like it's not like it has to be like this huge deal. It's like, yeah, I think this episode is genuinely deserving of a 10. I can't even think of like a flaw discernibly.
I think once we have the context of the later episodes too, we can adjust our ratings. I'll create a Google Doc with our ratings, and we'll keep, we'll update them.
That would be smart. We did that for the watch along podcast me and Penguin did. We actually, it's funny, that's like literal lost media. Although I think it will be released like someday, TM. But it's like we started a Podraculus, which is a miraculous ladybug.
Oh my fucking god, you actually did that?
Yes, we actually did that, but only one episode ever came out, and I don't even think it's up anymore. Like I think even that one is lost. And we recorded like 12 more.
Holy shit.
That just never came out. Cuz like we were like we can just backlog this show and then like release it steadily, and like it's not time sensitive, so it doesn't matter. So like our idea was just to like get through the entire first season pretty much and then release them and then go like that. I think was like the general premise of what we were doing.
Yeah.
So like yeah, there were like 13 episodes that we recorded. Like I think we talked about like 12 episodes of the show cuz we did one episode at a time. Mm-hmm. And then we did one episode because Penguin was like telling me about this like a miraculous ladybug fan fiction she was reading.
Oh.
And we did like we did a fan fiction special. So there were 12 main episodes and a fan fiction special that just like do not exist anywhere except in Penguin's hard drive.
How good is Miraculous Ladybug?
It's like it's bad, but like it's bad in the way that's like charming, that like it's that type of kids show.
Is it like charming in the sense that like it brings you back to your childhood, and it's like just like a refreshing lack of seriousness, reality?
Yes, that's a great way to describe it.
That's how I feel about a lot of, as much as I appreciate a cartoon that can deal with some adult themes and be very mature, and as much as I love the My Little Ponies and regular shows of the world, I also can appreciate things that sort of just allow you to escape from the harsh reality of life.
What cartoon were we talking about?
Miraculous.
Yeah. That's I just got sidetracked for a minute, but yeah, that is a perfect way to describe that show. Like it's like it's shitty, but it's like you love it anyway.
Right.
And there were some standout episodes. Like there was like 2 or 3 in particular that I remember, like, they just, like, stepped up the animation quality and, like, animated these action scenes that are, like, the most, like, beautiful shit I've ever seen. Like, some of the most epic action scenes I've ever seen in my life were in fucking Miraculous Ladybug. And one of them was in an episode where the premise was that the villain was an evil mime. Like somehow that turned into, like, some of the most amazing action I've ever seen.
Wow.
Is a mime villain.
That's pretty wild. Anyways, do we have anything else to say about Ben 10?
It's fucking sick.
Yeah, it's good.
That's the last note I wrote down. Like, I wanted to make sure I ended with that. Ben 10 is fucking sick.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even like know how to, dive deeper into that. It's just really good. It's just plain and simple. It's super enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna watch it all.
I'm also super excited for the next 2 episodes because I know which ones they are, and they're like 2 of my favorites.
Epic.
So yeah, what was the straw poll in the description?
Oh,
it was whether marinated mealworms or smoked sheep's tongue.
Which one sounds more appealing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it sheep's tongue?
Sheep tongue.
Sheep
yes.
tongue. Yeah. Yeah. That's which one would you rather eat? Not which one is grosser. Which one would you rather? And yeah, Riely, I guess. In conclusion, where can our listeners find you, or our viewers find you?
Well, literally,
this channel.
Both places. I was gonna say both places this show are exactly the places where you can find me. So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, subscribe also.
All right, Riely. Since this is
but on Spotify instead of YouTube.
Since this is a duo podcast, and it's on your main channel, can you just put both of our links in the description?
Yeah.
Yeah, just put like my YouTube, my Twitter, my Spotify, and that's it.
If you can put together a little list for me, I can paste it.
I'll just
easier because I'll know exactly.
I'll just make the whole description. Fuck you.
Yeah, just make a description, a largest issue has a description format that I copy and paste every time.
I love that. I'm literally doing all the work for this podcast and it's still going on Riely's channel.
Literally, just because our Ben 10 Let's Plays both have at least 50 views, and I think one of them might be past 100 at this point.
No way.
So, yeah, I think episode 1 might be triple digits now.
Holy shit.
So yeah, I think this podcast can get a decent little early start if we put it on my main channel.
All right. It should be out. We're recording this on July 13th.
And I have to put it on the mega feed to get the mega feed a little bit more life support.
Yeah. At least if you want to continue the mega feed, you should at least have custom thumbnail.
I'll consider it, but it'll feel weird not to go back and correct it for everything, and that would be unreasonable amount of work.
Well, just if you let me log into the mega feed, I'll do it for you.
No, you can't log into the mega feed. That's mine.
Fine.
It's my baby.
Whatever.
You can't have it.
Whatever. All right. You can find me at Demigloom on Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube, pretty much anything. Just look up Demigloom, DEMIGLOOM. I do podcasts, I do music, and video essays very soon. I've been saying very soon for longer than I'm. Video essays will be out.
Legally.
That's about all I have to say. I have been.
Yeah, how long can you say soon before it becomes deceptive business practice?
Whatever. It's non-profit, okay? I have been Demigloom.
And I've been Riely.
Bye.
Bye.